What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto joined Night Raid to destroy the corrupt empire? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. Kurome, a young girl with black and red eyes, reached out to her younger sister. Big sis. Kurome tried to reach out to her sister, but they were taken away from each other. In my squad, siblings shouldn't rely on each other. Don't worry, if you're good, you can reunite with each other. Now, starting today, you will be part of my family. I'll even let you call me father. A man with long pale blonde hair said to Akame. That girl, she has a gift. A man wearing a black cloak and wore red and white mask. The figure stood alongside a bald man with a monocle. My plans will come to fruition for the new world. Many years later. Alright men, a muscular bandit silenced his subordinates. We caught some real beauties, now we can have some fun. The leader grinned lecherously alongside his men, staring at caged women. I'll take the blonde. I'll take the one with the nice rack. The leader went for the most beautiful first, but his head exploded suddenly. Boss! His men shouted for him. Another one fell, his stomach with a bloody hole through it. One by one they all fell with holes through their bodies. What is going on? The last one was scared and ran off. I don't want to die. He then tripped on something and landed on one of his deceased comrades' weapons face first, killing him. The thing that tripped him up was a steel ball that was spinning. It flew off and returned to the hand of a man on a horse. The horse was white in color and the man that rode it had a strange attire. He wore a black sleeveless shirt, white bandages on his hands that almost reached his elbows, a red vest over his shirt, black trousers and brown knee-length boots. He wore a black mouth mask and green goggles covering his forehead. He had a belt with pouches tied around his waist. He had blonde spiky hair and blue eyes. He stood about 5'11" and had muscular build. Are you ladies alright? He pulled down his mask to show his handsome face, which also had 3 whisker-like marks on each side. His face made the ladies blush as he freed them. My name is Naruto, I heard one of these guys and followed him here. Good thing too, otherwise you would have had terrible things done to you. Follow me and I'll take you to a village that I passed nearby. A girl of 17 with light-colored hair thanked him. Thank you for saving us, Mr. Naruto. I am Ino, is there any way we can repay you? Some of the girls had flirtatious looks and some placed their bodies next to his. But Naruto suddenly jumped away from them and threw his steel ball that pierced through Ino's body and flew over the other girls. The girls pulled out knives and had bloodthirsty looks. How did you know? One of them demanded. Naruto smirked as he pulled up his mask. Most girls who never witnessed bloodshed would either be shaking, shocked and in some cases traumatized. You ladies were too calm about the bloodshed. Some of you also tried to use seduction techniques which I am familiar with and were about to strike when my guard was lowered. Naruto pulled his mask back up. I admit I'm not the smartest guy out there, but I'm not that gullible. Naruto smirked underneath his mask and allowed the girls in front of him to rush him. They did not see the steel ball boomerang back and hit one of them, forcing her dead body to spin and hit the rest of them, her corpse tearing through her allies, leaving Naruto with the 2 girls behind him as he regained his steel ball. Naruto turned to the girls, who began shaking. Please forgive us. The 2 girls were on their hands and knees, bowing with their heads. Unfortunately for them, Naruto saw through their ruse and took out a pistol, shooting them through the head. Needed to work on your tone a bit more. I'm guessing you 2 didn't go on much undercover missions yet. He then sighed to himself. Great, I'm talking to myself like a crazy person. Naruto sat back on his horse. Let's ride Jojo. Naruto and Jojo headed towards their destination, the capital, the main city within the empire. Wonder why they called me in the first place. And maybe I'll get to see more Tigu? Jojo increased his speed, with Naruto hoping to reach it soon, without tiring Jojo out. Naruto would see how corrupt the empire truly was. Night Raid. Death's new group is said to comprise of Tigu users, 7 of them from what our sources say. Akame told them what Najenda told her. She knew that they had to tread carefully. Stay alert and do not engage any of them alone. They all nodded and Akame dismissed them. I wonder if you'll be part of Death's group, Kurome? Akame's eyes briefly flashed with sadness. In the capital, whispers spread as Wave walked through the capital streets, ignoring them. Wave entered the building with a piece of paper pointing him directing him to his destination. He then saw a person in front of him, heading towards the same direction. "Excuse me?" Wave called out to the person. The person turned around, revealing Naruto. A mask and goggles, what a strange combo. "Are you heading towards the special police conference room too by any chance?" Wave then realized he almost forgot to introduce himself. "My name Wave, I'm a member of the Imperial Navy. Nice to meet you." He held out his hand, causing Naruto to smile. "Yo, name's Naruto." Naruto shook his hand. "I'm an independent hunter who got called by the Empire for the same reason as you, I'm guessing." Naruto and Wave became acquainted quickly and entered the room with enthusiasm. That is until they spotted a masked man who looked like he was part of the torture squad. This man was Bowles. Sorry. Our bad, we've got the wrong room." Both Wave and Naruto stood outside the room, doors slammed and heavy breaths. That guy scared the crap out of me," Naruto admitted, with Wave agreeing. Please tell me this is the wrong room?" Naruto asked him, with Wave checking the paper. Nope, this is the right room." Wave's answer made Naruto's eyes go wide. "That means that guy's in there is our teammate," Wave said, frightening Naruto. "I want my mommy." Wave and Naruto thought at the same time with the exact same words. Naruto then placed his hand on Wave's shoulder. "We are men, Wave. We must brave this new possibility of working with that man inside the room. Besides, appearance isn't everything. He could be a cuddly teddy bear on the inside." Naruto at first spoke in a determined heroic tone, before it changed into one of self-assurance. "You're right, I'm a man of the sea. This is nothing." Wave got up and his eyes shone with a fierce fire in them. "Good." Naruto stood up too before pushing Wave into the room. "You go first." That was cold. Wave then slowly raised his hand and apologized for his rudeness earlier. He slowly began to walk, followed by Naruto, who regained his composure, but was still a little scared of the masked man and joined Wave. Wave gave him a small glare while Naruto just silently apologized. The door opened to reveal Kurome. She sat down and began eating sweets. A normal girl, Naruto and Wave thought in relief, though as soon as they tried greeting her, she protectively held her sweets and stated that they could not have any. "At this rate, Wave and I will be the only ones who are normal in this group," Naruto thought with sweat falling down the right side of his face. The door opened to Seryu saluting and introducing her full name, with small weird-looking dog by her side. "That doesn't look like an ordinary dog. She seems normal enough," Wave thought, until Seryu bent down on one knee and threw petals as Dr. Stylish walked with his left hand on his face. He muttered about being a man of style and took notice of Wave, calling him cutie. "He's took a liking to me. At least it's not me he's, oh my god." He winked at me. Naruto was next in Stylish's radar. Naruto and Wave had no problem with Stylish's, but it was the fact that they eyed them specifically that sent chills down their spine. Naruto and Wave just placed their heads to the table. One more person arrived, this time it was a man named Run. "Hello, I am Run," he greeted with a smile. "Yo, I'm Naruto." "Hey, I'm Wave. Nice to meet you too." When they both realized that Run was a normal person, Naruto silently cried tears of happiness whilst Wave held Run's hand and cried tears of joy openly. They all now took a seat, with Bowles then making some tea. "Excuse me." Bowles brought tray with 6 cups of tea. "I'm sorry for not saying anything. My name is Bowles and I'm painfully shy. I'm your senior and yet I act like this. Please forgive me." Bowles held the tray in one hand and placed his other hand on his cheek. "He's shy while looking like that. Guess Naruto was right about him being like a teddy bear," Wave thought to himself, though Naruto had similar thoughts. Soon another person entered the room. She had a mask on to disguise her face and wore a military uniform. "What are you doing here? I don't recognize any of you," she spoke while pointing to them. Wave stood up. "Hey now, you shouldn't be her." Wave was kicked back, but he managed to cross his arms and minimize the damage. Seryu gave of great bloodlust when she tried attacking the woman from behind, but the woman grabbed her and slammed her to the ground. She also stopped Sirius's dog, Koro, using a small amount of ice. "You give out too much bloodlust while you tried to attack me from behind." She then attempted to kick Run, who jumped back. She was then attacked by Kurome, who used her swords briefly. "Even when playing, I can't let up with this one." Her mask cracked and Bowles said her name out loud. General Esdeath. As soon as Bowles said her name, Wave regained his bearing to see Death's smiling face. Even our commander is a strange one, he thought while Naruto thought of something else. She's strong. Naruto knew she was holding back, and thinking of her just as strong was like comparing a boulder to a mountain. I should probably hold off on trying to prank her. Sometime later, Death's new group wore black suits, with Naruto even taking off his mask. Death planned for them to meet the young emperor. Hope you enjoyed my little game. Much better than a droll welcoming reception, wouldn't you say? She then looks at Wave. Always be on your guard, our enemies are assassins, you won't have the luxury of taking it easy. Right. Wave agreed and mentally berated himself for forgetting his training. Seryu also thanked Death for her valuable lesson. Now, after we greet His Majesty, we'll have a party afterwards. She said it so casually, it shocked her new team that they would meet the Emperor so soon. We're meeting the Emperor already. Naruto blurted out what the others wanted to say. That was fast. Naruto began to imagine the Emperor being a middle-aged man. This way we'll get all the boring parts out of the way. You guys can introduce yourselves to him and the Prime Minister. She told them as they all relaxed a little. Question, Commander Death, what will we call our little group? Stylish asked, which caused her to smirk. We are a special police force who hunt down those who oppose the Empire. Our specific goal is to eliminate the criminals group known as Night Raid. Everyone looked at her with determination, with Naruto even placing his left hand over his face and giving his own pose. We are the Jaegers. They all entered the throne room and stood in front of Emperor Makoto, though a few of them were surprised that the Emperor was a child. Honest then made his presence known by announcing his arrival. Greetings General Death and her group. I am, who's the fat guy? Honest was interrupted by Naruto's off-handed comment, which made everyone look at him, some with shocked faces. I beg your pardon. Honest was embarrassed by Naruto's statement, which was his honest opinion about Honest, no pun intended. That's the Prime Minister, Naruto. Death told him with a stern tone, though she did chuckle alongside some of the others. This caused Naruto's eyes to comically widen before they returned to normal. Sorry, my bad. Naruto laughed while scratching his head. Honest thought Naruto was an idiot, and even if he wanted to kill the blonde, Death wouldn't allow him. Wait, he looks a little familiar, but from where? Honest began recalling people whom reminded him of Naruto until his eyes widened and he involuntarily stepped back. Something wrong, Prime Minister? Makoto spoke in concern, to which Honest replied that it was nothing. I am Emperor Makoto, I lead this country and succeeded my father. Please work hard. Makoto then looked at Honest and chuckled a little. He does make a point, Minister. You could stand to lose a couple of pounds. Honest's jaw figuratively hit the ground. This caused some guards and even Death to chuckle. After their meeting with the high-ranking officials, the Jaegers wore their own clothes again, having a small feast. Naruto, you somehow managed to get the Emperor to agree with you. Did you have training in the art of manipulation? Death asked him while Bowls and Wave were cooking. Not really. I just thought the old man was just a fat old guy. I didn't know he was the Prime Minister. Naruto let out a nervous chuckle. Death was simply amused. Any hobbies, Naruto? Seryu asked him. I like pranking. This made the others turn to him. They realized it made sense for him. And I like to water plants. Now this one surprised them. For the short time they've met Naruto, they can tell he had a mischievous side, after Wave told them how he pushed him after giving him a speech about being men. What about you, boss? Naruto asked Death and called her boss instead of commander. I like to torture victims, finding new methods of torture, and most recently, I think I'll try my hand in falling in love. This made the other females tense a little, while Stylish and Runa were also surprised. Naruto was the most surprised. Run, could you pass me a drink, please? When Run gave him a drink, Naruto took a good sip and then did a spit take, making the others blink their eyes rapidly. Thanks. She thinks falling in love is a hobby? How are you going to find the right person? Well, I already have a list for my ideal man. Death took out a scroll and passed to Naruto. When Naruto read it, his eyes figuratively bulged out of his sockets. I pity the poor guy who she decides to go after. Naruto thought in worry for the poor soul. Tatsumi's room. Tatsumi sneezed. When did it get chilly? Tatsumi went back to sleep. He had nightmares about being chased by a demon who wanted to ravage him every way possible. In the next few rooms, Akame had sweet dreams of eating all the food she could. Back with Naruto. After their small party, Naruto, Wave and Run had to share a room. Naruto tended to snore loudly, thus forcing the other two to cover their ears with their pillows. Why do we have to deal with this? Wave asked Run. It's because we were born men. At least if we were women, we wouldn't have to deal with this. Run and Wave did not expect Kurome and Seryu to kick the door open. Don't count on it, we're 5 doors down and we can still hear him, Seryu stated with tired eyes. Koro was also annoyed and wanted to eat Naruto. No Koro, he is a comrade, so he can't kill him. My Yotsufusa can reanimate dead things into my puppets. Let me kill him and I can control him. Commander won't know the difference. Kurome's words had some effect as Run and Seryu thought about, but they decided against this and began to think of ways to stop the noise. They did not see Naruto sleepwalk out of the room until it was too late. Guys? Wave tried to tell them that Naruto escaped. Not now Wave, we're trying to think of how shut Naruto up. Run replied while stroking his chin with his finger. But Naruto just left, I think he's sleepwalking. Now the other three's eyes widened at this and all of them tried to find Naruto. They would not get any sleep, followed by most of the people inside the palace. In the morning, what happened? Death asked them, as everyone but Naruto and Bowls were laying their heads on the table, sound asleep. Apparently Naruto snores loudly and sleepwalks. Kept them up for half the night, so I advise letting them sleep for a while, maybe an hour or two. That way they'll have the energy to perform tasks. Bowls said while scolding Naruto a little, who felt a little embarrassed. Sorry boss, I didn't want to cause anyone problems. Can you give these guys a break and I'll do their jobs while they rest? Naruto joined his hands and closed one of his eyes, basically asking for forgiveness in a joking manner. Well, since you're taking responsibility, I see no harm. Very well. Death brought out a large stack of paper. I had a few of men set up posters and flyers for the tournament. It starts in 2 hours, so you can just keep watch in the spectator seats to watch out for any spies. Right, with Akame. I have a feeling something terrible will happen. Akame stopped eating for a few seconds before continuing, surprising mine. 2 hours later, at the capital stadium, Naruto tried to find a seat until he found a spot next to a green-haired man. He walked up to him. Excuse me? This seat taken? The green-haired man he asked was Lubbock and next to him was Leone. Not at all. Lubbock acted friendly, he had no idea who Naruto was or that he was a part of Death's new group. They all watched the matches, with none notable of interest until it was Tatsumi's match against Kalbi, a muscular man with a bull's head. How the hell does that guy even have a bull's head? If he's human, then I'm an orange-wearing leader of a ninja village. Naruto mentally commented. He then looked at Tatsumi. That guy, his composure, he's no ordinary combatant. Naruto saw Tatsumi win easily. Way to go Tatsumi. Leone cheered for Tatsumi, making Naruto turn to her and Lubbock. All three watched with anticipation when Death arrived to hand Tatsumi the prize. They were completely shocked to see Death put a collar on his neck and claim him as her own. When Tatsumi tried to resist, all three just shouted to the heavens. What the hell just happened? Naruto got up to meet with his commander, perplexed by this situation. A while later, Naruto let his thoughts be known to his boss, who placed Tatsumi on a chair surrounded by his fellow Jaegers. Boss, what the hell? Why did you put a collar on this guy? Naruto fell when he heard his commander's reasons. Because he is the one. He is my lover now, Naruto, and I want him to stand out. She said and also explained that Tatsumi would no longer live on poverty. Run pointed out that if she wanted Tatsumi to stand out as her lover, then it would be better for her to take off the collar as it made him seems like her pet. Death thought this over and concurred with Run's statement, taking the collar off. Death explained that Tatsumi would train under her and become a reserve member for the Jaegers. When Tatsumi said he didn't want to join him, Death replied that she would have to train him to be obedient to her. Seryu let her thoughts be known and patted Tatsumi's head, stating that Tatsumi was simply confused. This guy, he's frustrated. Not only that, but angry. His knuckles are getting white. He's not angry at being taken, but he's holding his anger back for Seryu. He tensed up when she approached him. During his introduction at the stadium, they called him a blacksmith. The fighting skills he displayed were beyond that of a simple blacksmith. I'm sure the others noticed this too, but boss is too infatuated to see this. Naruto kept an eye at Tatsumi. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Anyways, I do have a question. Are any of you in a relationship or are married? Death asked, and Bowles immediately put his hand up, surprising everyone. Seriously. Naruto and Wave thought the same thing. Bowles stated that he had been married for 6 years and that he didn't deserve someone as wonderful as that. He even stated that he has a daughter. Tatsumi himself was shocked. So, Bowles has a family? Naruto thought before placing his hand on Bowles' shoulder. Good for you, Bowles. The others congratulated him before Death spoke to him alone for advice. Death came back with Bowles and placed a map on the desk. We have a mission, it seems. I just received a report about bandits taking refuge near Gyogen Lake. Death gained the new group's attention. Seryu then spoke. I heard about this a while back when I was part of the force. They supposedly have a fortress over there. Once Seryu said her piece, Death spoke. Right now, we'll hold off on the search for Night Raid. We shall deal with the enemies in front of us. Death wanted to see her subordinates' abilities for herself, and this was another way to test them. And if they should surrender? Bowles inquired. Surrender is a sign of the weak. It's the rule of nature that the weak perish. Death's comment made Seryu laugh in joy. To slaughter evil doers before they can commit evil. I am truly glad that I have joined this group. When Death said that she could kill them to her heart's content, Seryu thanked her. I didn't think Seryu was this messed up. Naruto thought, his thoughts shared by Tatsumi and Wave. I have one thing I'd like to tell you before we head out. Each of you will be required to eliminate dozens of people. This will be the type of work we shall carry out from now on. Are you all prepared? Death asked them all. I am a soldier, I obey orders, even for this type of work. Even if I have to kill. Bowles was first to respond with conviction. I'm the same, this is merely practice in following orders. I have always thought of it this way. Kurome was the second. I was able to join the Imperial Navy thanks to the patronage of a great man. If I were to ask him how I could repay the favor, he would tell me just to do my best and fight for the sake of my country. That is all I need to do. So, I can do this. Wave spoke next, showcased his determination, being above the others. Run then smirked. For the sake of making my desires coming to fruition, I wish to rise higher and higher. Even if it means I can't do the purest of deeds. In that regard, I wish to proceed with this mission. Run closed his book whilst maintaining his smirk. Death turned to Naruto. I chose this path and understand one thing. Those who kill must prepare to be killed. I long ago accepted that if I die then I die in battle. But I have no intention of dying today. Naruto posed like the others, his left hand over his face and vest slightly over his right arm. I will tear those who harm my comrades into bloody shreds. Death smirked, asking Dr. Stylish as well, to which he answered that pursuing style was his way. When he asked if she understood, she said no. Stylish then dramatically praised Death and her style. Death was a little confused but smirked at her team's agreement. Then let us go, you two. Tatsumi. What? Tatsumi's been taken? Akame slammed her hand on the table as Lubbock and Leone reported what occurred. Akame was thinking, and before she could say anything, Mine spoke. Don't even think about it. We can't go and rescue Tatsumi, it would waste resources and time. Besides, he might not even be in danger in the first place. Unlike you or me, he doesn't even have a wanted poster. Mine made a point. Akame reluctantly agreed. Even so, he is a comrade. Keep a lookout for him. She also has a dark expression on her face. Keep a lookout for Death's group, the Jaegers. With the Jaegers? So, this is the bandits' hideout? So, what's it gonna be? We knock the front door, or do we go around the back? Naruto waited his teammates' answers. Seryu took charge. Justice dictates we fight them head on. Seryu opened the gates and they were soon surrounded by bandits who eyed the two females like pieces of meat. The leader ordered them alive so that they could do unspeakable things to them. However, the leader lost his head as Naruto threw his steel ball, which also went around and swiftly tore through the bodies of the men surrounding them. Naruto's steel ball returned to him. His fellow Jaegers were surprised that Naruto could do something like that. Sorry, my hand slipped. He looked at the other Jaegers. You guys want to jump in? Seryu did so and allowed Koro to enlarge and bit her right arm, where it became a drill, where she rushed various bandits closing by and killed them. She then used Koro to change arm into a cannon and blast more bandits to bits. How is that physically possible? Naruto's thought process questioned how Seryu was even using those weapons, with his eyes blinking rapidly for a moment. Maybe we should let her take care of those bandits by herself? Wave said, with Run also commenting that she looks like she could do just that. Those weapons are my personal creation. Stylish said to them. You built them? Wave asked him, with Run curious as well. How did you even put those weapons in her body? Naruto asked, but Stylish chose to ignore this. He's dodging the question. I was right, this does defy the laws of physics. He heard Stylish say that his dream was to create weapons that exceed Tengu and that thanks to his Tengu, Perfector, he can patch them up from anything short of death, whilst also providing free upgrades to their bodies. I'm good, Naruto told him, with Run requesting that Stylish not insert anything in his body. I'm glad we have a medic, but if all you can do is patch us up, then you should stay close by while we protect you from threats. Wave was being considerate and thought Stylish had no way to defend himself. I hope to see that kindness in you in private, cutie. Stylish winked at Wave, who was a little creeped out by this. Stylish snapped his fingers and out came several humanoid creatures. Meet my creations, they can defend me while you all carry on. Excuse me, it seems that Kurome went off ahead. Run interjected with Wave saying that was fast and Stylish saying that the girls should at least listen to what other people are saying. Well, let's get this over with. Naruto joined his allies. He spotted Kurome cutting up several bandits in superhuman speed. Wave kicked a bandit that attempted to sneak attack Kurome. Wave said that she didn't need to thank him, but she replied that she knew that the assailant was coming. Bowles blocked arrows using the cylinder strapped to his back. He then used his Tengu, Rubicant, as a flamethrower to burn the archers, even when one of them submerged himself in water. Run's Tengu were a pair of floating discs that became a pair of wings. The remaining bandits were killed by Run, who unlashed feathers that pierced the heads of his victims. Meanwhile, Tatsumi and S-Death were watching from a distance, with Tatsumi secretly worried. They're strong and they outnumber us. Maybe I can get away before I can't escape now. S-Death held Tatsumi's hand like a love-struck schoolgirl. Tonight, you'll be staying with me, she said with a blush. Tatsumi decided to make a different approach. He would convince S-Death to defect to the revolutionaries. The next morning, I failed to convince her. Tatsumi looked tired and worse for wear. He was being used as a body pillow by S-Death, which made him stay awake the whole night. Hey Tatsumi. Wave greeted him while holding a cup of coffee and then noticed his condition. You alright, man? You don't look so good. Tatsumi did not want to say what happened and just told Wave that he didn't get much sleep. Yeah, well, you should try sleeping the same room as Naruto. His snoring and sleepwalking is a pain in the ass. Said Blonde heard this as he was behind Wave. My what? Naruto scared Wave, who jumped back and spilled his coffee on Tatsumi, who screamed in a high-pitched tone from being burned. Hey, never gets old. Naruto didn't have his mask or goggles on and took off his vest. Kurome arrived and began eating her sweets. This girl, so familiar. But from where? Tatsumi was staring at her, which Kurome noticed and did something that made Tatsumi realize why she was so familiar. You can't have any? Kurome protectively placed her arms around her food. Tatsumi immediately realized that she was related to Akame. Kurome noticed this. Just what are you looking at, are you pervert? She went straight to the point. Wah, no. Tatsumi shook his head rapidly. You just remind me of that assassin on the wanted poster. That Akame girl, are you perhaps related to her? Tatsumi already knew the answer since he heard from Leone about Kurome, though he only had vague information. Come to think of it, you kind of do Kurome. Wave let his opinion be known. Akame is my older sister. This surprised Wave and Naruto a little, but Naruto noticed that Tatsumi tensed a little bit. His attention turned back to Kurome. But she betrayed the Empire and is now my enemy. She gave off some bloodlust which scared the other two and even worried Naruto a little bit. I will find Big Sis and kill her with my Yatsufusa and we'll be together forever. She's warped. She's like a female Sasuke. Naruto then had a thought. Actually, now that I think about it, she could be what Sasuke would look like if he was a girl. Naruto became a little depressed and walked away. Where are you going, Naruto? Wave asked his friend, who didn't even turn back but did give his answer. Out. Save me some breakfast, I'll be back in an hour. Naruto went to his room to get his things and left their accommodation. He was now at the streets and was lost in his thoughts. Thinking about Sasuke got me all depressed now. Wish there was a ramen joint here. Naruto then looked at the wall and saw posters of the Night Raid members known to the Empire. Most specifically, Akame. That's Kurome's sister. Naruto shook his head and carried on. He noticed some that looked like bodyguards, dragging sacks to a carriage. Normally this wouldn't bother him, but he noticed that it was leaking. Blood? Better check it out. Naruto followed them to see them dump the contents within a dumpster. These girls only lasted a few days. Let's hope that Bach guy can give the bosses some girls that can last longer. This is the third time we had to dump the body parts this week. The grunts laughed, but Naruto heard what he needed and was behind one of them before twisting his head upside down and killing him. What? Before the other guy could retaliate, Naruto already pinned him to the ground and broke both of his legs. Ag. Naruto placed his hand over the grunt's mouth. Now, if you don't want me to break anything else, I suggest you talk. Naruto spoke in a deadly tone that made the grunt cry in fear, mixed with some pain. What's this about a guy bringing in some girls for your bosses? Don't know. He screamed as Naruto stepped on his left hand. Next is your arm. Know this, I can break your arm in many ways and all of them are really, really painful. Naruto started to get through to him as the grunt told him everything about how Bach lures in girls and treats them before selling them to a group of enthusiasts who play with the girls in many ways, also mentioning what the dog does. He gave Naruto the location. Gave you what you wanted. Let me go. The grunt felt Naruto let him go, but the blonde took out a knife. But Yus said that you'll let me go. I said that I wouldn't break your body, not that I'll let you live. Naruto slit the grunt's throat as he choked in his life essence before his eyes became lifeless. Now, time to rid the world of some scum. Naruto made his way to his target's hideout. With Bach and his buyers. You bastard. Foul. The tomboy blonde-haired girl's kick was blocked by one of the bodyguards, who broke one of her legs. Luna, the blue-haired girl, had one of her eyes cut out and screamed in pain. Air, the pink-haired one, was stripped and about to be violated by one of the enthusiasts, dog that was in heat. Fortunately for Air, a steel ball tore through the dog and then pierced the heads of the grunts behind Air. Play Fairy Tail Ost Absolute Zero. The guard that broke Foul's legs had his neck snapped upside down. The enthusiasts felt they were going to die as Naruto arrived with eyes appearing demonic to them. Who A or YU? The one who owned the dog stepped back but died as his chest was pierced, followed by everyone who tried to run away. All of them died, except Bach, who was literally wanting to shit himself and was shaking. Please listen. Bach opened his jacket to reveal the mark of a slave. There's a reason why I turned out like this. My moth, Naruto picked Bach up by the mouth. In Bach's eyes, Naruto had a demonic aura as the blonde glared at him. Naruto dropped Bach and then slowly walked, swiftly slitting Bach's throat. He took me out like I was a piece of trash. End. He looked at the naked Air, who was using her arms to cover herself up. Naruto walked up and picked up Air's clothes. Here, get dressed. Air sobbed. This made Naruto cover her with her jacket. They can't hurt you or anyone else again. Naruto then looked at Air's unconscious friends and gripped his fists. No matter where I go, innocents still suffer. Naruto decided to help the girls and gave them medical treatment, first helping Luna with her eye and then Foul with her leg. My abilities aren't just for destruction, they can heal people. What are you doing to Luna? Air got dressed and saw Naruto using his steel ball on Luna. She became suspicious of him, though Naruto reassured her with a smile. Don't worry, I have some medical training. Right now, I'm trying to see if I can save your friend's eye. Now, unlike with Bach, Naruto was being honest, despite Air not wanting to trust him as Bach broke her trust. He's telling the truth and his eyes, they show warmth. Air was brought out of her thoughts by Naruto. Luckily her eyeball wasn't stabbed, but she'll have a scar on her face. Now for your other friend. Naruto walked towards Foul and gestured for Air to follow. I need your help with this one, it's going to be painful to fix her leg. Naruto used his bare hands to bend the leg back to its normal alignment, though this caused Foul to awaken in pain, but Air was holding her and stopped her screams. Relax, I need to perform an emergency surgery on you, so that your leg can heal properly. Naruto used his steel ball to help heal it. You won't feel a thing, trust me. True to his words, Fal did not feel a thing. In fact, the pain she felt from having her leg realigned passed and she felt better than before. Naruto turned to Air. Your blue-haired friend should be waking up in a moment. After Naruto was done healing Fal, Luna had woken up and was told about their situation by Air, to which the blue-haired girl looked around the room and fell on her bottom, shaking in fear. It'll take a few weeks, but you'll be able to use your leg again. But Fal was happy to hear about her leg, however, as soon as Naruto said, but she felt scared. You won't be able to use your leg to fight ever again. You're very lucky to even walk again. Fal sighed in relief, but then she, like her friends, noticed the bloody corpses and body parts. Don't worry, it's all over. You three are safe for now. Naruto told them. I know it must be tough to see this, but I had no choice. These monsters had to die. Why? Air's voice made Naruto turn to her. Why did I save you? Is that what you meant? Naruto knew that was she meant but wanted confirmation from her, which she confirmed by nodding. I've seen a lot of things in my life, despite being in this world for a short time. If I can save someone in front of me, then I will do it without hesitation. Naruto looked at his hand. I killed these monsters because they deserved it. Nothing more, nothing less. While they were afraid of what he could do to them, they were grateful and bowed. Thank you for saving us. We are now in your debt. Luna spoke for all of them. The other two were very grateful. Not important right now. I need you to tell me how you got into this situation. Naruto maintained a stern expression and heard the trio's story. How they were sold as slaves by their village and how Bach treated them before bringing them here. He realized that they had no home and gave them an option. I am a member of the Jaegers, a special police force that hunts down criminals that disturb the peace. I might be able to do something for you until a permanent solution can be made. Naruto looked over his shoulder and turned to the girls, who each had their jaws wide open in shock. Well, are you coming? The girls then smiled and followed their new master, in their eyes at least. Next, we find Naruto sitting in front of S-Death and the other Jaegers. Explain why you were late. S-Death asked him sternly, and depending on his answer, she would punish him. I killed some human traffickers and saved 3 girls. He answered honestly, surprising the others. Basically, just doing my job, boss. Protecting the people from the scum of the country. Naruto looked at the door. Come in, girls. The 3 came out and confirmed his story, with Fal now in cast and was using crutches. You 3, tell me what happened? S-Death commanded them. Her presence alone made the 3 gulp. The 3 told her everything, from almost being tortured by the maniacs, to Naruto arriving in the nick of time. She turned back to Naruto. Well done. This made everyone in the room give their own comedic reactions. Say what? Was Naruto's intelligent answer. You had every right to kill those people. She smiled. You acted and did your duty. That is all that I ask. However, these 3 girls have nowhere to go now, so how will you deal with this? Bowles answered her. My wife runs a bakery and she is looking for staff. Maybe they can work for her and in exchange we'll provide them a place to stay. Bowles suggested, which made Naruto cry in happiness. He grabbed Bowles' hands. You're an angel, Bowles. Naruto had imaginary stars twinkling around him. His expression made the others look at him strangely. The girls then got a good look at Bowles and screamed at his appearance. Naruto looked at them and sighed. Relax, Bowles is like a cuddly teddy bear. Right, buddy? Naruto placed his right arm over Bowles' shoulder. See, come on Naruto, why you're embarrassing me. As soon as Bowles said those words, Air and her friends realized that maybe Bowles might not be so bad. Then we'll take the offer, Mr. Bowles. Air answered for them and Bowles was overjoyed. S-Death clapped to gain their attention. That's settled then, but since you 2 need to get these ladies sorted out, we start our hunt tomorrow. This confused the others, however. S-Death explained that some strange new danger beast type appeared and that they were tasked to bring them back to the capital. She split them into groups now. Kurome, Run and I will go as one group, Bowles and Seryu in another. Wave, you can go with Tatsumi since he'll be joining us. Naruto, since Stylish is nowhere to be seen, you must go alone. From what I've observed at Gyogen Lake and from what your new friend told me, I know you can handle yourself in a fight. You must guard an official of the Empire, however, if you meet anyone in Night Raid, only engage if you have no other option. Understood? Naruto and the others nodded. Good. Naruto, you and Bowls go sort out their dilemma. Tatsumi, you can stay with the guys tonight. I have business to attend to tonight. Tatsumi sighed in relief. Right, you three come with me and Naruto. We'll settle you in. Bowls and Naruto lead the trio to their new life. Honest's office at nighttime. Understood, Prime Minister. Death left after getting her orders for capturing the new danger beasts. Honest began to eat some pudding, only for a voice to scare him and making him spit it out. You sure love your desserts. The man who watched Akame and Kurome get taken away from each other arrived. Blood Knight. Honest drank some wine after nearly choking on his food. Don't scare me like that. But it's too much fun to scare you. He then held up his hands as Honest glared at him. Fine, party pooper, no cake for you. This made Honest stand right up. You have cake. Honest drooled a little. Just an expression, moron. Blood Knight replied to him, making Honest go red a little. We need to talk about that Naruto boy who insulted you a while back. This made Honest cranky and scowl at Naruto's name being mentioned. Do not think of killing him just yet. I know you found out who his father is. So, you know too. Then you know why he's dangerous. The blood of 2 former generals run in his veins and even Death doesn't know how strong he is. Honest held a little fear in his voice. Hee. You're scared of him, despite having Death on your side. You know she can control her subordinates very well. She even converted Liver to her side, a former general who spoke out against you. Blood Knight then handed Honest a vial filled with a chemical. Is this the serum you were talking about? Honest looked at it while licking his lips. Yes, but it's still untested. I suggest finding a guinea pig to see for any side effects before trying it for yourself. Blood Knight then changed the subject. I see Makoto still listens to you without question it seems. Honest gave a mad grin at this. Yes, the little monarch has no idea what is really going on. The revolutionaries are a pain though. Especially the Akame. He then glared at Blood Knight. That little brat was your and Gozuki's responsibility. Now I have to end up fixing it. Technically, Death is the one who's trying to clean up the mess. Plus, I believe you were the one whom ultimately lead her astray. Blood Knight gave a small chuckle. Remember, no harm comes to Naruto. His mood changed to a serious one. Or Kurome. He then reverted to his normal mood. Ciao. Blood Knight made a wave to Honest off and disappeared into the shadows. That man scares me. Truth be told, I'm glad he's not my enemy, yet. Honest enjoyed some more pudding. You still haunt me from the grave, Minato Namikaze. The next day, with Naruto. See you guys around. Jojo. Let's ride. Naruto and his trusted steed left in. I have a bad feeling. Naruto began to see corruption in the capital equals. Unknown village, sometime later. Okay, I'm here. Now to find the guy. Lubbock was relatively unknown to the Empire and had yet to have a wanted poster of his own, making him the perfect choice for this assassination mission. The official in this town abused his power and takes girls from the streets and makes them his slaves. Lubbock's fist tightened. I'll make him choke to death. Lubbock did not expect to almost get run over by Naruto and Jojo. Hey, watch it. Lubbock almost blew his cover and placed his hands over his mouth. Naruto and Jojo stopped, with Naruto looking back with a sheepish look. Hey. Naruto remembered Lubbock from the stadium, with Lubbock also realizing who Naruto was. You're the guy from the tournament? Lubbock sighed, he thought Naruto was just a normal guy. Never introduced myself, I'm Naruto, part of the special police, the Jaegers. Now Lubbock was completely horrified. He's a Jaeger. Lubbock's mission got harder. The revolutionaries did not expect a Jaeger to arrive until much, much later. You alright? Naruto's question brought Lubbock back to reality. Oh, you must be mad? Sorry for almost running over you. Naruto got off his horse and bowed. Oh, don't worry about it. Name's Lubbock. Lubbock bowed in return. I don't feel any danger from this guy. I feel relaxed around him for some reason. That's what makes him dangerous. Sorry if I sound rude, but what are you doing here exactly? While Lubbock was a good liar, Naruto was good at reading people. His tone indicates that he's a little nervous. Must be on a job. Guess I'll tell him the same thing. Just on a job for my boss. You? Lubbock gave the same answer. He must be here to guard the target? I could take him out right now, but I'll risk getting discovered. If leave him, he'll just guard the target and I know nothing of his abilities. What should I do? While Lubbock was thinking, Naruto sat back on Jojo's saddle, which brought the green-haired man back to reality. Sorry for being rude, but I have to get going. I'll see you around, Lubbock. Let's go, Jojo. Naruto left a pale-looking Lubbock. I messed up. Lubbock placed his hand on his head but then calmed himself down. I'll have to do this quietly and quickly. Lubbock made his way to the target. Welcome. A bald heavy-set man spoke as he was surrounded by several women in rags. Hope you enjoy your stay while you protect me, because you will not be bored. The fat man gave a grin that disgusted Naruto. These women, they're scared. They're bruised as well, most likely that this bastard did this to them. And I have to protect this man? Naruto held back his bloodlust and the urge to kill this man was getting stronger as he slapped one of the women for being too slow in bringing his food. He took out a knife and grabbed her arm. Bitch, it's time you learn your place. Before the man could do anything, Naruto grabbed the man's hand and broke one of his fingers. Ag, the man was in so much pain that he almost passed out from the pain. The women were shocked and scared by Naruto's casual brutality. You harm anyone in front of me, the assassin won't the one you should be worried about. He grabbed the man's head and forced him to look at his eyes. Because if I even hear that you've been abusing them, then I'll break your arms and legs. Got it? The man nodded his head rapidly with snot coming out of his nose. Good. Naruto then smiled. You can show me to your room, I'll be guarding you. So that means no hugging girls for you tonight. Naruto turned to the women. As soon as this mission is over, I'll put in a good word to my boss and she can get you out of here. The women had gained something that they thought would never happen in their lifetime, hope. Your next line is, you can't do that, you mongrel. Naruto predicted the fat man's next words accurately. You can't do that, you mongrel. The man stepped back. How? Because you're too easy. He glared at the man, causing him to want to piss himself. If I find anything done to these ladies or anything else disgusting like this, then I'll kill you myself. Naruto then dragged the man with him, asking for his room once again. With Lubbock used his threads to slide towards his target's mansion and behead 2 guards when they did not see him coming. I'm no good on a head-on battle, but I can work with stealth no problem. Images of Naruto flashed into his mind. That guy, I can't underestimate him. Lubbock entered the inside of the mansion and spotted more guards before stealthily taking them out like before. I better set up some traps, just in case. Lubbock set up a trap that he could use to his advantage. You and I make a great combi, Crosstail. Let's hope we can kill the target and not fight that guy at all. Back with Naruto. Boss had to give me guard duty to a disgusting bastard like this. The Empire, first it was with Air and her friends. Now I'm tasked with this. It makes me wonder if I'm on the right side after all. Naruto then began to think of his time with the Jaegers and meeting Bull's family. He closed his eyes and then smiled. No, I can't think like that. Some bad people in the Empire won't change my mind. I am a Jaeger now and my mission is to protect the people. After this, I'll make sure these girls are safe from harm. Naruto then opened his eyes in determination. Outskirts of the village, a pale-skinned young man arrived. He appeared to be no younger than Naruto and had a stoic look on his face. He had a sword strapped to his back. My mission is to back up one of her subordinates and kill the target. I better get to work. The youth moved with the grace of an assassin. Back with Naruto. Naruto was snoring and was already disturbing the man he was guarding. No mommy, I don't want vegetables, I want ramen. Naruto was dreaming about ramen again. His snoring was heard by Lubbock, who quietly walked slowly and set up some traps. Unfortunately, for the green-haired man, Naruto awoke and then turned to his side. You fell for it. Naruto was surprised to see Lubbock. Wait, Lubbock's the assassin. Naruto already reached out and tossed his steel ball, hitting Lubbock at the torso and sent him spiraling backwards. He must be from Night Raid. I can get some answers, so I'll avoid killing him. That attack should have knocked him and maybe broke a rib or two. Naruto walked closer to the unconscious Lubbock after picking up his steel ball. He then suddenly jumped back as Lubbock threw a knife at him. You think a fake out can catch me off guard? Now I know you're, whoa? Naruto moved to his right as something grazed his cheeks. A thread? Naruto briefly placed his finger on it before gaining some distance. I see, that's how you recovered from my attack. Your Tigu allows to use threads as a weapon and for defense. So, underneath your shirt must be thread armor, right? Naruto placed his left hand over his face and then pointed at Lubbock. Lubbock pulled up his shirt briefly to show Naruto was right. You're pretty clever. Lubbock decided to joke around a little. How about letting me kill the guy you're guarding? And then I'll be on my merry way. Naruto shook his head while smiling. Sorry, as much as the guy I'm protecting deserves it, I have my orders. Just like you have yours. Naruto cracked his neck. But I won't be killing you, Night Raid. Instead I'm bringing you in. Before their battle could commence, Lubbock had already connected his threads through the halls and used them to gain momentum and speed across the hall. Play a Kame ga kill Ost Yami o Kiru. Just follow me and fall into my trap. Lubbock turned his head to see Naruto following him. He's almost as fast as a Kame. Lubbock didn't expect Naruto to be this fast, but Naruto was proving to be a more dangerous foe than previously thought by Lubbock. You don't think I can tell that you wanted me to follow you? You're setting a trap for me. Naruto knew something was up and threw his steel ball, which went past Lubbock. Is that his Tigu? Why is he? Oh shit. He knows about my traps. Lubbock saw the trap he set being undone by Naruto's steel ball, as the sphere cut through the threads that were connected to the wall. Lubbock then felt his movements halt and he soon fell. He disconnected my other thread too. Lubbock had no choice and used cross-tail to weave an axe and swung at Naruto, who jumped over him and regained his steel ball. Lubbock took a left kick that hit him on the ribs, but luckily his thread armor cushioned the blow as he was sent flying back. Lubbock threw some knives to the walls and attached threads to them, stopping himself from going any further and regained his footing. Lubbock turned around and ran towards his target. Shit, kicked him back to the other side, he's closer to the fat guy than I am. When Naruto moved, he suddenly stopped himself as he almost tripped over a small trap Lubbock set up to either cut his ankle off or trip him. When he made that axe, he must have also made this tripwire in case his surprise attack failed. Not bad, Lubbock. Naruto, instead of feeling worry, actually liked the way Lubbock was thinking. Naruto followed him, but you're not the only one. Naruto did not have the steel ball in his hand anymore. He kicked me to the right where I needed to be. Now I can kill the target and escape quickly. Lubbock then suddenly felt his leg crack as he fell. What? Lubbock saw what stopped him. It was Naruto's steel ball. When did he? Lubbock then realized he sent it before kicking him. He planned ahead. He's good. End. You're pretty clever, Lubbock. Naruto then turned back and jumped away from a blade strike. Naruto's steel ball returned to him as Lubbock managed to regain the feeling of his leg, if just barely. Naruto was now behind Lubbock, who jumped back. The pale-skinned man from before arrived and was the one who attempting to strike Naruto earlier. You're Sai. Lubbock was surprised to see him. You're from the Revolutionary Army's sub-faction, the Foundation. Sai, the artist. Lubbock was careful around him. I'd better be careful. The Foundation used to be an elite group under the command of a madman. They're willing to kill friend or foe alike. They were wiped out except for one person. I came to help. The higher-ups sent me to join your group and then your acting leader sent me here. Sai's blade was a short katana type that was black in color. That weapon is a Tigu. I can sense an evil presence from it. Naruto was right as Sai's weapon became liquid before Sai swung it, the ink drops becoming sharp spikes. Naruto used his steel ball to hit the wall which bounced from it and then repeated broke through the projectiles. Sai began to close the gap but jumped back as Naruto's steel ball almost hit him. Naruto regained his steel ball and kicked Sai back, who crossed his arms back before being sent flying backwards. Lubbock regained his bearings and moved away from Naruto, who didn't bother to attack Lubbock as Sai regained his footing. His strength is unnatural. I think he broke a rib. Sai was in pain but did not show it. Sai used his sword like a brush and made a serpentine dragon, which came to life. Did he just summon a dragon? Naruto is shocked, but he then noticed the dragon was huge and began to collide with the walls. Shit, everyone in the building is in danger. What are you doing? There's innocent people in this building. Naruto's eyes widened as Sai gave his answer. So, what about them? It showed that Sai only cared about his mission and nothing else. Lubbock's fists tightened as he heard this. Naruto was pissed off as he readied his steel ball. Then you and I have a problem. He painted the dragon. His Tigu must some magic ink. Naruto ran up the wall to land on top of the dragon. He took out a knife and blocked Sai's sword swing. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders Ost fight to antagonize. He blocked my Tigu with a mere knife. Sai did not expect this. Atramento is more durable than most swords and even some Tigu. The fact he can block means he is skilled with that knife. Sai made his dragon violently swerve, breaking through the walls and forcing Naruto outside with his created beast. Naruto used his knife and jammed it into the wall, sliding down a good 5 meters. I'm not easy. Naruto tossed his steel ball through the dragon's eye and made it to go through the dragon's head, with the body reverting to ink. The steel ball then hit Sai's arm, the arm holding Atramento. Sai dropped his Tigu and his arm twisted, immobilizing it for the time being. Sai quickly caught his weapon and cut off his immobilized arm. Sai hissed in pain and grit his teeth. By this time, Naruto had already jumped back inside and regained his steel ball. I knew I shouldn't have used a delayed effect on him. It gave him a chance to cut off his arm and escape the rotation. Naruto then saw Sai reach for his Atramento and threw his steel ball once more at Sai's Tigu, breaking it in half. Sai took the blade's handle and then it regenerated, surprising Naruto. That handle, it must be the actual Tigu. That sword must have been a creation of his. Naruto tried to get his steel ball back, but Sai moved quickly, swung his weapon. Naruto was quick to duck and dodge Sai's strikes, using this chance to regain his personal weapon. Sai used this chance to move and turn his blade into a greatsword, seemingly hitting Naruto dead on. End. By swinging my Atramento in its short sword form, I still possess the speed and precision from before. Then changing it into its greatsword form, it becomes a strong, durable, high-damage weapon, but still retains its speed because of changing it to the last second. I knew you would go for your pathetic sphere and focused my speed and precision for this attack, so that you couldn't dodge it. Sai then heard a noise. What is that noise? He then looked down and was shocked. This can't be. Sai saw the steel ball spinning in Naruto's hand and blocked his attack. Play JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Diamond is unbreakable Ost main theme. I felt your movements becoming slower, but not because of your injury, because you were swinging wildly this time around. Naruto's steel ball began to wear down Sai's weapon and cracks began to form. See cracks. Sai was distracted by his weapon slowly breaking, giving Naruto a chance to knock Atramento out of his hands. Shit. Naruto then dropped his steel ball and used his fists instead. Muda 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 muda. Sai was getting pummeled by Naruto's fast punches, with Naruto even giving a battle cry. Muda 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 muda. With one last strike, Naruto landed a right hook that took out Sai. That's the end of the line for you. Naruto regained his steel ball and posed as Sai landed with a thud. End. Mission accomplished, now I can rest and, oh shit. Naruto ran towards the fat man's room and saw the door open. He entered the room to find a secret passage via the fireplace. He ran through it and eventually found the fat man hung by threads, with a bloody neck. I was careless and let Lubbock get to him. Damn. Naruto punched the wall and caused a large hole through it. Naruto had returned to the hall and found Sai nowhere, with his Tigu gone as well. All that was left was a kunai which had a note attached to it. Naruto picked the note, which pissed him off as he read it. Soon he ripped it up and tossed the remains. He looked out to the moonlight and only had one word. D-D-D-D-D-A-A-M-M-M-M-N-N-N-N-N-N. Naruto sighed and had a serious look on his face. The next day, the women who worked for the former official were freed and given back to their loved ones. Despite berating himself for failing, he spent the morning finding out that the people in the village were much happier with the corrupt official gone. It made him feel better and happier for everyone. He was even thanked by the relatives of the girls he protected. Are those people in Night Raid truly evil? I know that Guy Sai was willing to let innocents die. I know there are good people in the Empire and there are definitely bad people in the Empire. Maybe they only cared about killing the target and that the villagers being free was a happy accident? Naruto was confused and questioned the motifs of the Revolutionary Army. The only way I'll know is if I talk to the members of Night Raid. Excuse me? A timid voice called out to Naruto to see the girl he saved from being hit by the fat official. Oh, hey, you're the girl from yesterday, how are you feeling now? Naruto smiled, making the girl smile back, a true smile. She bowed, which made Naruto blink his eyes rapidly. Thank you for defending us. Naruto's smile dropped a little slightly as he talked to her a little while and was thanked by the nice villagers before departing for the capital. That Lubbock guy, at the stadium, He was with that blonde girl and they cheered for Tatsumi. Wave announced his name to the crowd, so it's possible they don't know him and simply cheered for him? But the way they cheered made it seem like they knew him. I better do some research. With Night Raid, Tatsumi had managed to escape after a few difficulties and was now in the briefing. It turns out everyone had kept a lookout for him, with Akame saving him from a danger beast before bringing him home. They discussed the Jaegers and most notably, Kurome and her Tigu. Akame had received word from Najenda that she will arrive with 2 new comrades. Lubbock had reported that he succeeded but he had difficulty in his mission. That guy, Naruto. He was strong and even without his Tigu, he could hit harder than Bullet ever could. This made the others cautious. Tatsumi raised his hand and spoke. That Naruto guy, he's not really a bad guy. Tatsumi explained the incident with Bach and how Naruto helped them out. He also felt that Wave was not a bad guy and that Bowles also seemed decent enough too. Bowles was a part of the incineration squad. He is simply a solider who follow orders and is too loyal to be swayed. We can discuss this when boss comes back. Right now, we stay low and only take local missions. Understood? They all understood and retired for the rest of the night. That Naruto person. Lubbock said that he was strong, even without his Tigu. If that's the case, then it'll be better if I am the one to face him. If I can just as even graze him, even he would fall. But from what Tatsumi said, he is not a bad person and took out those people. Akame's eyes narrowed. Even so, for the sake of our mission, I will take their lives. With Naruto, back at the capital. Naruto saw Wave clad only in his underwear and Kurome dropping stone slabs on his lap, causing him to scream in pain. He raised his hand and let his presence be known. Why yo? They all turned to him. What's going on here? Death explained how she captured the danger beasts and how Wave let Tatsumi and a member of Night Raid escape, which made Naruto sweat too. I let a member of Night Raid escape. Naruto imagined himself in Wave's position. Seryu arrived and gave her report, while Stylish was missing. Commander, you mentioned Tatsumi planning on joining the revolutionaries. If that's the case, what shall we do? Run asked her and she replied that while she still loves Tatsumi, their lives are more important and that if they must, they should kill Tatsumi. Your report Naruto. Death commanded and this made Naruto sigh. Naruto's look sharpened as he had no excuses and would own up to his mistakes. I failed, boss. I have no excuses and I am willing to take any punishment you wish. Naruto saw that Death still maintained her stern expression. Tell me what happened? She asked calmly as Naruto decided to indulge her. 2 Tigu users, one of them was Night Raid. The Night Raider killed the official while I was dealing with the other one. I was planning on bringing them in for information and they escaped. He gulped a little when he saw Death's eyes narrow. Do you have any useful information about them? Their appearance, their abilities? Naruto nodded and asked for a pencil and paper. He sketched them and revealed himself to be quite the artist. Wave was freed as Naruto sketched the drawings. This one has green hair and is Lubbock. He uses a Tigu that allows him to manipulate threads. The next guy isn't a part of Night Raid, but that Lubbock guy said he was part of the Revolutionary Army. He has this sword handle that could use ink to create weapons and he even made a dragon. His name was Sai, according to Lubbock. Now instead of punishment, Naruto was patted on the head. You've done well. I told you not to engage Night Raid unless it was necessary because I did not see you fight properly. Naruto sighed in relief but was not out of the woods yet. However, the next time I expect you to not allow Night Raid to escape. Is that understood? Naruto straightened himself out and bowed. Yes ma'am. He then had something he had to get off his chest. Boss, there's another thing you need to know. He had her attention. You won't like it, but I think Tatsumi is a part of Night Raid. This made the others a little nervous, but Death remained calm. Any reason why you think this? I know that I mentioned Tatsumi planned on joining the Revolutionary Army, but what makes you suspect that he is already part of Night Raid, Naruto? Her gaze bore holes through his body. That Night Raider, Lubbock, was at the stadium where you took Tatsumi. He and this woman cheered for Tatsumi before the crowd did. They were familiar with him, that much I can tell, and since Lubbock is a Night Raider, there is a possibility that Tatsumi is one too. Naruto told his theory and the others admitted it was a possibility. If that's the case, he would need to be a Tigu user too. But all he had on him was his sword with a chain. Wave scratched his chin to show he was thinking. This made Naruto think too until he noticed Wave's Tigu. Huh, Wave's Grand Chariot, it basically shares the same description to Tatsumi's sword. That's quite a coincidence. Naruto's eyes then comically widen. Wave, you said you found Inkurgio's user after Tatsumi got away from you, right? Yeah, why? Wave and the others were wondering where Naruto was going with this. You also told me that Grand Chariot also give you armor to fight. Did you notice that Tatsumi's sword looked like a different colored version of yours? Now everyone's eyes widened, including S-Death's. Tatsumi is the current wielder of Inkurgio. He used Inkurgio to disguise himself in front of you, Wave. That's how he had the skill to defeat that guy in the tournament. That makes sense. It was strange if someone from Night Raid was at the mountain randomly. And he wasn't fighting back, just running away. Why would a Night Raider do that? Wave spoke and was confused. It might be that you were not a priority target at the time and it was the better option to escape. Of course, we still need to confirm if it was indeed Tatsumi. Run brought in his 2 cents. Right now, there's nothing that can be done. At any case, keep your eye out for Tatsumi, and if he is indeed our enemy, you know what you must do. S-Death did feel conflicted, but her subordinates and her orders came first. There is one more thing, boss. Naruto spoke as everyone's attention to him once more. I left Sai on his own so that I could go after Lubbock. I knocked him enough that it would take a while for him to wake up. Everyone was with him and remained silent for him to continue. Sai's Tigu and body was gone. All that was left was a note. Somebody took him, that means I was being watched and I didn't know it. Unknown lab. Sai had slaughtered the scientists that worked on his new artificial arm. Sai broke through the wall with his new limb and gave his usual smile. He then kneeled at the figure that came out of the shadows. I humbly thank you, my master. Sai looked up at the figure. Blood Knight. Rise up, Sai. The pale-skinned youth did as he was told. Now go, the Revolutionary Army need you. Sai left as commanded, leaving Blood Knight to himself. For the new world. Ha 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 ha. Blood Knight laughed as he placed a hand over his face. Night Raid had finished off Stylish and his minions. Najenda had returned with her own organic Tigu, Susano and the cheeky Chelsea. Chelsea used a Tigu called Gaia Foundation, a makeup kit that allowed her to transform her to any person as well as creature. Right now, they thought up of several plans to ambush the Jaegers. With Naruto. Come on Logue, time for bed. Naruto picked up Bull's daughter, Logue, and tucked her in as the little girl fell asleep. Naruto slowly walked back, but Logue's tired voice reached out to him. Naruto took off his mask for once. Mr. Naruto. Naruto turned to her. Can I ask you something important? Naruto decided to listen to her and nodded before going back to her side. What is it? Naruto softly asked her. I know my papa did a lot of bad things, but can you protect him for me and mama? This made Naruto's eyes widen and he smiled. He ruffled her hair. Sure, I promise that as long as I'm around, your papa will be safe. As soon as he said those words, Logue fell asleep. Naruto left Logue's room and after a good 5 minutes, Logue's parents arrived. I hope she wasn't too much trouble, Naruto. Kije, Bull's wife, gave a smile, then Naruto returned with his own. It's no problem, she was little angel. Naruto then looked at the trio of Air, Luna and Fowl, all sleeping, tired from work. They were tired, so I put them to bed too. Naruto said his goodbyes and left to get some sleep. It was already night and with a full moon out. Help! Naruto heard a woman scream, joined by younger screams, the screams of children. Naruto put on his mask and followed the screams of the voices. Naruto found himself in an alleyway and spotted 3 suspicious people and the corpses of a woman and 3 children, all naked. Those 3, they violated them before killing them. Naruto's eyes widened and particularly hated the satisfied expression of the fat clown. He grew angry and confronted them. These 3 were Kazmina, Enshin and Champ. You 3. They all turned to see Naruto with fierce eyes. Played Tokyo Ghoul Ost Unravel Instrumental, Karaoke version. And who the hell are you? Champ questioned Naruto, followed by a grinning Enshin and a happy Kazmina. He's a cutie. Wanna have some fun tonight, cutie? Kazmina winked at him. She got her answer as Naruto threw his steel ball and blew up her brains. Enshin took out his Tigu and began swinging, releasing aerial blades. My Tigu is at its best during a full moon, die weakling. Enshin did not expect Naruto to dodge and land an uppercut, breaking his nose, but leaving him conscious. Champ threw his flame orb, but Naruto moved out of the way as Enshin was burned by the orb, screaming in agony. Oh shit. Champ was punched in the face. He landed on his back, before Naruto's steel ball flipped him over. Oof. Champ was now on his stomach and face. Naruto then stomped on his left arm, eliciting a scream, but Naruto then kicked his teeth in. Who are you guys? Where did you get Tigu? Naruto questioned dangerously. Champ did not answer and was rewarded with Naruto stomping on his right hand's fingers. Champ screamed again. Who are you? WEA or W Wild H Hunt? AAG Group C created B by the P'(M) minister's son. Champ wheezed out. I can't use my Tigu orbs now. The Prime Minister's son? That explains the Tigu. Did he put you up to this? Naruto demanded from the fat clown. No. WES simply W went out F for some F fun. Naruto did not like this answer and then broke one of Champ's legs. Ag, don't screw with me. Naruto was not done just yet. Tell me, are there more of you? He was answered immediately as Champ explained that including the Prime Minister's son, there were 2 more people. Last question. Answer me truthfully. Who was the one who did this to the children? IW Ah. Champ had a knife lodged to his throat and was choking. The fat clown stared at Naruto's almost demonic-looking eyes until his life faded before Naruto's eyes. Ost end. Naruto spit on Champ's corpse and looked at the innocents who died. Naruto then heard a man's voice. The Empire truly has become despicable. Naruto turned to see his comrade run. He walked calmly, but also held a sad smile. You seem to be finding out firsthand, huh Naruto? Naruto looked down. What is wrong with this world? Run. Naruto looked at the moonlight. Why do innocent people suffer? If I was here even a few minutes earlier, they would still be alive. Naruto closed his eyes in frustration. Run touched Naruto's shoulder and asked if he wanted to get some drinks, something Naruto agreed on. After we give them a burial. Naruto was referring to the woman and the kids. After that, they were back at their accommodation, drinking booze. You were a school teacher? Why did you change profession then? Naruto took a swig of his beer. Yes, I worked in a place called Joyu. Its land was fertile, and it was a wealthy area. It was well governed and the governor took pride in that. Because of this, the children well educated and quick learners too. Run's face then had a dark look. However, one day, I arrived at my classroom to find the children murdered and just like the ones in the alley, violated. What happened? Naruto was already sick at hearing this but needed answers. He saw Run look down, angry. Your government kept it under the rug, didn't they? Naruto's suspicion was confirmed by Run. Yes, the governor was worried that the village's reputation as peaceful village would be threatened. After that I decided to take things into my own hands and seduced the governor, obtaining my mastema from her. Now Naruto was a little surprised at Run seducing a woman. I didn't know the empire was this bad. Even children aren't safe. He looked at Run with confusion. Why join the empire then? Because I wanted to change this country. I had 2 options, destroy it from the outside or correct it from the inside. I chose the latter. If I chose the other option, then I would have joined the revolutionary army. Run then asked Naruto something. Why did you join, Naruto? Naruto took another gulp of his drink and then sighed. I was tired of my last profession. You said you were a hunter, was there something wrong with that? Run was curious at what Naruto had a problem with. Yeah, I said I was a hunter, but not the kind who hunted animals. The kind who hunted other men and women. A mercenary. Naruto's words made Run stare at him intently. But I had personal policies where I would not kill defenseless people. Still didn't make me feel better. Naruto looked at his right hand. Truth is, I joined because I thought I could make a difference and protect the people. After tonight, I'm not sure if I'm good enough. You did nothing wrong, Naruto. You saved your new friends and helped give them a home. You've done more than enough. Run had one important thing to ask Naruto. Naruto already knew. Let me guess, you want me to help you cut out the cancer? Naruto saw Run smile as he held out his right hand. Count me in. They shook hands. Wait a minute. Why did you choose to correct the inside instead of joining the revolutionary army? Run's expression turned grim as he sipped some of his sake. Because just like this empire, I've seen their corrupted side. Not all of them joined for the sake of the people. Many of them are just as bloodthirsty and cruel as the people you've took down. That fact shows me that the revolutionaries are too extreme in their methods. I simply chose the path with less bloodshed. Naruto understood now that Run was right. He remembered that Sai was willing to let innocents die to complete his mission. Then we better get some rest. Also, what do we do about those Tegu? Naruto pointed to the Tegu that used to belong to 3 members of Wild Hunt. Run suggested that they wait until morning for that. As soon as Run left, Naruto took out his steel ball. I wonder if you're proud of me? Yiro. Images of a man that wore a cowboy-like attire appeared in Naruto's mind. Naruto went to bed and dreamt of his past. With Honest, "You're missing half your members, Sayura." Honest commented as Sayura stood next to the remaining members of his group, Dorothea and Aizu. "Did you send them out to have some fun? Because I don't like to be kept waiting, Sayura." Sayura gulped at this. "Sorry, Pops. I'll talk to them when they come back." Sayura and his group left, with Sayura furious. "They won't come back, you know." Blood Knight surprised Honest again, whom looked ready to soil himself. "Stop doing that," Honest shouted at him, causing Blood Knight to chuckle. Honest realized what Blood Knight said. "Wait, what do you mean by that?" "They're dead. Can't say who, but they are dead. Their Tegus have been taken." This made Honest a little nervous. "Speaking of Tegu, you gave your son Shambhala? You sure that's a good idea?" "It's fine. Sayura is loyal to me, and while he is reckless, he is strong." Honest spoke with confidence, but this made Blood Knight laugh. Yet when you compare him to Shambhala's previous user, it's like comparing a guppy with a shark. Especially since Shambhala's former wielder was once the Empire's strongest. Blood Knight made Honest remember the man even he feared. Minato Namikaze was truly a fearsome man. If he was still alive today, I have no doubt that even S-Death would fall. Honest then grinned maniacally. It was a good thing that his lover was loyal to the Empire. She was the one person whom he didn't expect to betray her. Honest did not see Blood Knight tighten his right fist until it became loose again. Of course, he survived and killed her in turn. Kushina Uzumaki, the former wielder of Yatsufusa and the Empire's loyal pawn. But we're digressing. I came here for another reason. Night Raid is on the move. My spies have uncovered Dr. Stylish's body. They've been spotted in several towns and villages over the last few days and have been alternating around them. Blood Knight reported. "Tell S-Death to move out with her group soon. I'll report more in the next few days and then the Jaegers can make their move." Blood Knight walked away and repeated the same gesture he always does when leaving. Ciao. Soon, Night Raid will fall. Honest went to pick up his cake, only to find a note and replaced by vegetable. What the? Night Blood. Honest was mad that Night Blood replaced his cake with vegetables. Damn you. The next day, Seryu heard the news that Stylish has died and wanted to be left alone for a while. S-Death ended up comforting her and left Wave dejected, as he was trying to help console her first, but was beaten by his commander. They were all in the meeting room, except Seryu, whom was told by S-Death not to strain herself. "I suggest you come out, or else I'll be forced to kill you." S-Death threatened an unknown presence in the room. Soon a strange mark appeared and out came a grinning Sayura. "Sayura, why am I not surprised?" S-Death scowled at the Prime Minister's son, who retained his grin. S-Death, still have a great raw. S-Death stopped Sayura by pointing the tip of her sword at his throat. Sayura's grin was wiped off his face and he began to sweat. "Okay, my bad." S-Death retracted her weapon and turned to her team. "Everyone meet Sayura, the Prime Minister's brat of a son." The Jaegers were now wary of Sayura. Luckily for Kurome, Sayura wasn't paying attention to her thanks to S-Death's threats. Naruto, hearing this, had his eyes narrowed. "So, you're the leader of Wild Hunt, huh?" Naruto confronted Sayura, who just grinned, thinking Naruto knew he was to be feared. Instead, Sayura was sent flying through a couple of walls and knocked out, surprising the others. "What?" Naruto turned to his teammates and boss, wondering why they were staring at him. S-Death decided to send Wave and Naruto on a job together before Naruto did anything else if Sayura woke up soon. "There was an unknown creature spotted in one of our military camps. I want you two to go." She wanted Wave and Naruto to go. "Here's the report." "Oh Naruto, I expect an explanation for that when you get back." She pointed towards the Sayura-shaped hole in the wall. "Oh, Run knows the details." Naruto was cleaning his ear as said person's jaw hit the floor. "Ask him." Run just glared at Naruto, who saluted his fellow blonde and left with Wave as Run had to explain why Naruto punched Sayura. It took a while and Run had to improvise. With Sayura, sometime later. That bastard. Ouch. Watch it. Sayura had to have his head bandaged by Dorothea and was in front of his father. Aizu sat at the side. That Naruto did this to you? Honest was a little nervous, because Naruto was one of the few people that Blood Knight did not want him to harm. That blonde bastard is called Naruto? Good, now I can get back at him and… I wouldn't do that if I were you. Sayura looked behind him to see Blood Knight. Dorothea and Aizu could not sense his presence at all. Sayura lunged at him, only for Blood Knight to knock him out by kicking him back into the wall. Aizu and Dorothea then rushed Blood Knight, ignoring Honest's warning. Blood Knight kicked Aizu's katana out of his hand, grabbed it and then cut Dorothea in half. He then followed up by cutting Aizu's head off. Did you have to kill the woman? I needed her. Honest commented but was getting nervous around Blood Knight. Sayura got up and held his head. He saw the remainder of his group dead in front of him. These weaklings, so much for my unbeatable group. He stared at Blood Knight. I'll forgive you for attacking me if you'll become my subordinate. This made Blood Knight laugh and Sayura angry. Enough, Sayura. Honest's stern voice stopped him from going through with it. This man is an ally and right now, he works for me. He's easily a match for S-Death and perhaps Budo. This shocked Sayura, who calmed down. This guy, you gotta be kidding me, Pops? No way, he's that powerful. Sayura was arrogant and believed that no one was stronger than him apart from the two generals. Blood Knight just sighed. Play fairy tale Ost Dragon King. Believe what you want to believe, brat. Blood Knight shrugged his shoulders. I don't care about your opinion. But… He closed the gap and picked up Sayura by the throat. Naruto is not to be harmed by you, I have plans for him. If find that he is even grazed, then I'll pull out your intestines and force you to eat them. To Sayura it looked like Blood Knight became a distorted skull, demonic in appearance. What is he? AAD demon. Blood Knight dropped him and even scared Honest there. Ostend. I'm going, I have other business to attend to. He looked at Sayura one more time. Remember brat, no touching Naruto. Ciao. Blood Knight waved them off and left. You see Sayura, your arrogance almost cost you dearly. Blood Knight is someone who I do not want to cross. First that Naruto brat and now you annoyed Blood Knight. Honest stating that Blood Knight was simply annoyed frightened Sayura. That was him only annoyed. What's he like when he's pissed? Sayura then calmed down and thought of why Naruto would be important to someone like Blood Knight. Why is that blonde important to that guy? Sayura asked his father, who did not know the answer himself. I do not know, but I do know a little bit about this Naruto. Sayura waited for his father to explain. He is the son of one of the Empire's former generals, Minato Namikaze. Now Sayura did not expect that. His father told him of how Minato was the original wielder of Shambhala and once feared as the Empire's strongest at the time. Shit, no wonder he was strong. Sayura then had an idea. He said I couldn't harm him, but nothing about recruiting him and nothing about hurting his friends. Sayura left and made his own plans. He did not know that he was being watched by Blood Knight in the shadows. The bait is taken. Time to prove if Naruto is worthy of his bloodline or not. This empire that lasted over 1,000 years are the revolutionaries, which will fall first. Naruto and Wave, a few hours later. After traveling from the capital to the campsite, they saw the bloodied corpses. Naruto noticed some specific details from the corpses. Naruto motioned for Wave to take a look at the corpses. They look like a lot of dead bodies that have been cut down. I've seen plenty of them in the Navy. Wave then caught what he just said. They've been cut down. The report said that they've been ripped to shreds but a creature. This means that the person who sent the report misled us. Naruto made some hand signals which Wave understood and he threw out Grand Chariot in its sword form. One of Night Raid's members uses a long-range Tigu. There's also the possibility that it could be a group ambush. Naruto knew what he had to do and took out his steel ball and touched his forearm with it. Suddenly, from the pile of corpse parts, Susanoo emerged and hid Wave, forcing him flying out of the sight and quite a distance away from Naruto. Naruto was then hit by a sniper shot from Mine's pumpkin and was forced back, landing with a thud. The members of Night Raid came out. Naruto's down. Mine did it. Tatsumi commented, equipped and in Curcio. That was too easy. Lubbock said, he was wary because Naruto's skilled and to fall this easily was unlike him. Come on, even the most skilled of assassins can be taken out with a good plan. Tatsumi replied to Lubbock. Lubbock is right, Tatsumi. I feel a little uneasy. Leonie stated her opinion and would have continued, if not for Susanoo losing his head. The organic Tigu's body then began spinning, hitting Tatsumi and Lubbock dead on. Leonie and Akame saw the cause, Naruto's steel ball. Good thing I hardened my own skin, otherwise I would have died. Naruto surprised them as Mine's shot only grazed his chest. Naruto regained his steel ball and grinned beneath his mask before giving his now signature pose. Your sniper should watch out, the guy who sent Wave flying basically sent him towards his or her direction. And after your sniper shot me, Wave should have already caught the trajectory. This caused the Night Raiders to worry about their so-called genius sniper. With Mine, how is he still alive? Mine was shocked and then became frustrated at seeing Naruto still alive. However, as soon as she attempted another shot, a large rock was thrown at her. She barely dodged and used her pumpkin scope to see an armor-clad Wave heading towards her. Mine could only think of one word. Shit. Back with Akame's group, Leonie and Lubbock went to help Mine. Lubbock and Tatsumi were able to get up after Susanoo regenerated. Tatsumi stayed to help Susanoo and Akame. An organic Tigu, just like Koro. His user must be nearby, because whenever Koro fights, he's always nearby Seryu. Naruto stared at Akame and an image of Kurome appeared in his mind. If Kurome fights and kills her sister, she'll regret for the rest of her life. That's why I'll be the one to end her. Naruto used his steel ball to cause a smokescreen by forcing it to spin on the ground, releasing dirt into the air. About 40 meters away from Naruto. Damn, I didn't expect this guy to this good. Najenda hid with Chelsea by her side. Chelsea, I'm going to help them out. This one is dangerous. Chelsea nodded as the former general went to join the battlefield. Let's hope Tatsumi and the others are more than enough for this guy. Chelsea thought, being nervous for once in her life. I can't see him. Tatsumi thought to himself and couldn't spot the blonde at all in the smokescreen. Allow me. Susanoo used his staff's hidden blades as fans to blow away the smoke. He used the smokescreen to hide his presence and now we cannot tell if he is nearby. He is quite skilled. With Wave and Mine. You're mine, Night Raider. Wave was determined to capture one of them. Good thing Naruto signaled me to use Grand Chariot. Wave then used the trees to hide himself from Mine's sight. He tactfully avoided her shots. This guy, he isn't a priority target, but I can't let him get to me. I have no choice but to kill him if he persists. Mine was firing repeatedly in order to get rid of Wave's hiding spots, but the armored youth was swiftly avoiding them and was now in front of the sniper. He was a good 20 meters near Mine. Gotcha. Pumpkin is stronger when I'm in a pinch. Mine's Pumpkins was about to release a powerful blast, but Wave was one step ahead. He had already started to deactivate Grand Chariot as soon he got within 30 meters and threw his weapon that knocked back Pumpkin. The shot was blasted to the air and Wave closed the gap quickly to slam Mine face first to the ground, knocking her out. The thing about snipers, they suck at close combat. Wave reclaimed his sword and heard footsteps. He turned slowly as a spear made from Lubbock's threads almost hit if not for his quick reflexes. Too slow. Wave whilst in midair spotted Leonie falling from the air. He stabbed his word and equipped Grand Chariot once more, then blocked Leonie's fist with his own. This caused a shockwave that forced them both back. This guy, he's much stronger than Tatsumi is right now. And it's not just his Tigu, he's been trained well. Lubbock observed this and then spotted the knocked out Mine. Leonie can hold him off until I get to Mine. Back with Akame's group. Stay alert. He might still be here. Najenda barked out orders. She did not see that Naruto was behind her until he placed his pistol at her left temple. He knew I was hiding and deceived me into coming out. How did you know? One of my teammates also uses an organic Tigu, and while organic Tigu can operate separately from their users, they need their users to activate their full power. He looked at Susanoo, making sure to keep up his guard up. I can tell you're an extremely powerful Tigu. He then turned back to Najenda. Boss mentioned you being a former general, guess that means you must be his master. Naruto concluded, you seem quite clever. How about you join the Revolutionary Army? Najenda had noticed that Tatsumi was about to make his move until Naruto spoke. Don't bother, Tatsumi. Naruto revealed to them that he was now aware of Tatsumi's identity. Before Tatsumi could say a word, Naruto already knew what he was thinking. Your comrade mentioned your name and I had my suspicions since I met you. You were holding back your hatred for Seryu. Now I'm guessing it might be because she took out one of your comrades. Am I right? Naruto's skills of deduction impressed them, leading to Akame to ask him a question. Do you even know what it's like to lose a comrade? Do you even have feelings? Akame may seem like a cold person to most, but Naruto could see the pain in her eyes, and unlike most enemies he faced, she showed honesty. You think that I didn't have any friends? You think I'm a heartless bastard? How about you? You were the one who abandoned her little sister, so I don't think that you have the right to lecture me. He was distracted enough to allow Najenda to attack him, but he grabbed her robotic arm and then tossed her to Tatsumi, whom caught her. Naruto angled himself and secretly used his steel ball to harden his skin again. Susanoo hit him at the same direction as Wave. Thanks for the lift, Naruto shouted as they realized that they brought him closer to Wave's location. Shit, he got us. Tatsumi, Akame, go follow him. The two obeyed Najenda's orders as Chelsea came out of the shadows, with a grim expression. If those two escape, that means everyone's identities will be revealed. Lubbock already spotted one of himself earlier today. That Naruto guy, he knew that he couldn't defeat us and chose to escape. Next time we won't have the luxury of holding back. For some reason I feel like that Naruto guy would be a game changer in the war. Strange, isn't it? The redhead commented with a sad smile on her face. I feel the same way. When I first spotted him, he reminded me of you. Najenda lit a cigarette. Minato Namikaze. The image of a man that looked a bit like Naruto appeared in her mind. She and the other two followed Akame and Tatsumi. Back with Wave, Lubbock had retrieved mine and created a barrier to prevent any harm coming to her. He rejoined the fight as Wave had the edge over Leone for the moment. He's almost at Bullet's level. How is he this strong? Leone already gained some bruises, but Wave's armor protected them from Leone's attacks. His armor, its durability is greater than Inkurgio's. Leone was lucky as Lubbock threw a couple of knives at the armored man, but Wave knew that he wasn't really aiming for him and jumped into the air. Naruto told me about your threads. You planned on binding me and was hoping I'd deflect them or dodge them. I hate to break it to you, but dying isn't an option for me. He punched the ground to make them jump back as the ground crumbled below them. Further from where Wave was facing Leone and Lubbock, Blood Knight watched from afar, using a telescope. That brat is quite good, too bad his grand chariot isn't up to his level. Blood Knight said amusingly. Incursio was made from the tyrant that adapted and evolved to the environment, making it dangerous to most elements. Its evolution has a limit, and that is becoming the tyrant itself after achieving full power, but in exchange the user becomes the beast. That is why Grand Chariot was made. It was a perfected armor type that only certain people to use. Its current user has the skills to use it to its full potential, but unlike Incursio that becomes stronger, Grand Chariot cannot. Blood Knight looked on and chuckled. That Wave brat could be useful. Maybe it's time to give him an upgrade. Blood Knight was given a lift from a giant falcon. Back with Wave, he blocked Leone's punches and overpowered her, but that was their plan as Wave was caught in Lubbock's threads. Wave cursed himself for falling in their trap but was relieved to hear a familiar voice. Getting yourself caught, come on Wave, way to be lame dude. Naruto arrived and threw his steel ball, which spun rapidly and cut through the threads. Wave then went to Naruto's side as Naruto's steel ball returned to him. Shut up. Wave was a little embarrassed. What about you? You probably escaped instead of fighting them. Wave's accusation was true as Naruto just pretended to whistle innocently. I knew it. He pointed at the blonde, whom scratched his cheek a little in a nervous manner. He then turned to the assassins. Yo, Lubbock. And you too, Blondie. He greeted them casually before turning serious. You know, I failed my mission to protect that fat guy because of you, even though he deserved it. The last part did surprise Leone though. I thought that he was scum, but I guess not everyone in the Empire is. He could be a useful ally. Leone was going to ask him about the possibility, but Naruto created another smokescreen. Let's get out of here, Wave. Their friends are coming here and right now we need to play it smart. He then whispered his plan to Wave. The former naval officer made his escape with Naruto using the smokescreen. However, Naruto blocked an attack from Leone, who sniffed them out. Her senses are good, even bloodhounds couldn't track me through this smokescreen. He was able to block, my strength with Lionel equipped is no joke. This guy, Lubba is right, he's dangerous. Leone was grabbed by the arm by Naruto and thrown at Lubbock, knocking them both back. Naruto was about to escape, but Akame arrived and aimed for his body with her sword, with Naruto barely dodging the strike at the last second. Naruto! Wave shouted back as the smokescreen began to clear, the other members of Night Raid arriving. Get out of here, Wave. Get back to Jojo and Caesar now. Head back to base. If I'm not back in 3 days, tell the captain to cancel the search parties if they even do them for me. Naruto did not give Wave the opportunity to reply as he got close to Wave and kicked him downwards. Naruto! Wave reached out to his friend whilst falling back. Naruto used his steel ball to create more smokescreens, but also dealt with Akame's attacks. Wave noticed the user of Incurcio and some of the Night Raiders make their way towards Naruto. Wave regained his footing but thought about the conversation they had before they left the base. Flashback to some hours earlier. You took out 3 Tigu users. Wave's mouth was wide open as the two made their way to their horses to their destination. How? Wave was amazed that Naruto was strong. They weren't anything special. Naruto replied, though Wave thought Naruto was being modest. It's true, Wave, this time I was the stronger one. But power alone is nothing if you can't use it properly. What do you mean by that? Wave was not dumb by any means, but he was confused by what Naruto meant by those words. What's the difference? Think of it like this, the boss said that your strength is perfect, right? When Wave nodded, Naruto continued. But she also commented that you let your guard down when we first met. Say you fought against someone like Akame, whose Tigu would be useless against your armor. Akame is an experienced killer, she would somehow find a way past it and then go for the kill. He made his point as Wave understood. I myself have experiences where I had to fight tough enemies, they outnumbered me and outgunned me. However, unlike them, I knew my limits and used my abilities to find a way. Then I'm glad that you're on our side, Naruto. Wave thought as they rode towards their destination. End flashback. I need to have faith in my comrade, but I promise you, Naruto. I will bring you back alive, you are an important friend. Wave thought with determination and made his own vow, escaping from the site. Back with Naruto, he used the smokescreen to escape from the other Night Raiders, except Akame, who followed him. Play Fairy Tail Ost Fairy Tail Chase. Natsu and Gray OST. This girl is persistent. If she scratches me, it'll be all over. I don't think I can carry on dodging her attacks. Good grief, I'll have to use more steel balls, maybe even Wrecking Ball. Naruto used his steel ball to break down a few trees to slow down Akame by blocking her path. It only gave Naruto a moment, but that was all he needed as he caused another smokescreen, though it did not hinder Akame at all. However, Naruto was adaptable as he regained his steel ball and used it to block Akame's sword, also grabbing the arm that held the cursed blade. Akame had removed her armguard and switched Murasama to her other hand. However, she was kicked back by Naruto. I can't hold back. This man, he's stronger than any opponent I have ever faced in the past. Even Bullet wasn't this strong. Akame focused on Naruto's weapon, the steel ball. If I can take his Tigu away from him, then I will stand a better chance in eliminating him. You're thinking about taking my steel ball away from me so that it would easier to defeat me, right? Naruto's question was more of a statement and it did shock Akame, though she did not show it. Sorry, but you're mistaken. I'm no Tigu user. Naruto then pulled out another steel ball. This time Akame could barely hide her shock. If that's not a Tigu, then what is it? She was curious. Unlike most opponents, she felt at ease with Naruto. Naruto could only smile and said one word. Technique. The steel ball in Naruto's left hand was thrown and missed the agile Akame. Naruto smirked as the steel ball in his right hand spun, this time clashing with Murasama and released sparks. Naruto retained his smile as his eyes briefly looked at the other steel ball, which broke down another tree. Naruto stepped back and maintained a good distance from Akame, who jumped away from the tree. Naruto regained his other steel ball and looked down the forest hill. Let's get serious. Naruto threw one of his steel balls again. This time it ricocheted between the trees as Akame blocked and dodged repeatedly. Naruto then rushed forward with a spinning steel ball in his hand. Instead of going for Akame, he went for a fallen tree, making a makeshift board. He wasn't trying to fight me, he was trying to escape. She wanted to stop him, but the other steel ball just narrowly missed her. He made sure that if I knocked his ball back with more force, it would have hurt me instead of deflecting back. Woo! Naruto was now over her head, regaining his other steel ball. Be seeing you. Naruto used his board to travel down in breakneck speed. Akame would not let him get away and cut some tree bark to make herself a board. Akame. Leonie arrived too late after searching the forest to find her friend, only to see Akame leave on her board. Go get him. Leonie was confident in Akame's skills. You're the only one who can make a difference in this bloody war. She's still chasing me. Naruto motioned his body and maneuvered through the trees. Naruto saw the light at the end of the hill and did not realize it until a moment later. He just went over a cliff. Ostend. Oshhhhiitttt. Naruto screamed as he fell from the cliff. What the? He saw Akame deliberately jump and she held the hilt of her sword, ready to strike him. Really? Did you hit your head? Naruto avoided Akame's Murasama, but his jacket torn to shreds. Falling through the air made both their movements slower, but both were still fighting with their lives on the line. He then tackled Akame as both fell into a river stream. In the capital. You were right, run. Death had some of her men investigate Wild Hunt's activities. They had massacred several of their own force after violating them. I was going to punish Naruto, but in the end, he did us a favor. Those Tegu he brought back will be taken to the vault. Her words made Run sigh in relief. What about the Prime Minister? Surely he would protect his own son from harm? Run was smart and knew that Sayura had connections that protected him from the inside. Unfortunately for the Prime Minister, I can also sway the young Emperor. Damn you, Sayura, you always pull stunts like this. I do not care if you're the Prime Minister's son. If you go against me, you will be cut down. Naruto's impulsiveness is actually helpful. He is a useful soldier that we can rely on, no matter who our enemies are. Death stood up and looked at her group. I will inform the Emperor, keep your guard up and be careful. Sayura is dangerous and not to be underestimated. She left to speak with the Emperor after. It's starting, this empire is starting to heal. Naruto, your actions are fixing this empire, you truly are remarkable. Run thought and felt that all was becoming right in the country. Unknown lands. This can't be. Soldier from both the revolutionaries and the empire were killed by an unknown assailant. The final soldier began pleading for his life. Unfortunately, the figure lifted his right thumb and then pressed it, as if pressing a switch. Aghhhh. The soldier exploded, leaving no trace of him. This power feels good. If the master hadn't sent me to test out Bite the Dust, I would have remained bored. The figure was a blonde with long hair, tied into a strange ponytail. He wore black gloves with skulls on them. The young man then heard a bird call, looking up to see the same falcon Blood Knight rode on. Blood Knight jumped down as the youth smirked. Yo, Deidara, I see you tested out your Bite the Dust. Good, because I have work for you. Blood Knight chuckled as Deidara agreed due to his bloodlust calling out for prey. It's time for the next phase of my plan. No one will see it coming. Naruto. Naruto. A voice echoed, and Naruto's eyes slowly opened to see a man who wore a cowboy attire. Naruto's eyes widened as he shot up and said the man's name. Yiro. As soon as he reached out, Yiro was gone. Was that a hallucination? Naruto slapped himself to see that if he was dreaming. Nope. And ouch. Naruto had slapped himself too hard. Considering his strength was monstrous, it should be no surprise that it hurt. Where did she go? Naruto checked his pouches and sighed in relief when he found out his steel balls weren't missing. He looked around and spotted lion-like danger beasts surrounding a human body. Is that? Naruto saw that it was an unconscious Akame. I'm probably going to regret this. Naruto took out one of his steel balls and threw it, watching as it pierced through their skulls until one was left, this time fearing the blonde. You touch her, and you'll be joining your friends. Naruto threatened the last creature, whom obeyed the blonde out of fear for its life. Naruto then heard thunder. It's going to rain soon. He looked at the creature. Got a place where we can crash for a while? The creature was confused. Guess that's a no. Naruto picked up two of creature's friends' corpses and placed them on its back. He then picked up Akame, who gripped a sheathed Murasama in her hands. The one-hit killer blade, if it touches my skin, then I'm dead. She should be unconscious enough for me to at least take her to shelter. I hope. He gulped and then shook his head, lightly slapping his cheeks. He walked up and picked her up in his arms, with Akame stirring and then snuggled into his chest. It's like she feels safe in my arms. If I had picked her up when I was nervous, she probably would have slashed me. He then blushed. She's pretty damn cute. He and Akame were on top of the creature, who struggled with the combined weight. After a while it began to rain. Luckily for there was a nearby cave. And we're soaked again. He got off the danger beast and picked up Akame before placing her gently on the ground. If she's anything like Kurome, she has a big appetite. He then looked around to find that this cave was in fact inhabited by someone, or at least was. A bungalow in a cave after my escape battle, how coincidental. He took off his shirt and twisted it to squirt the water out of it. In comedic fashion, the danger beast shook itself to dry itself. It then turned to Naruto and stepped back a little after seeing his annoyed expression. I'll start a fire. Good thing this place has plenty of firewood for me to use. Also, Naruto jumped out of the way as Akame woke up. Your next line is, why did you save me? Why did you save me? Akame's eyes widened as Naruto predicted her words and said them before she did. It still doesn't make it any less true. Now answer my question? She retained her stance as Naruto just sighed. Wouldn't feel right if I took you out like that, it would leave a bad taste in my mouth. He answered honestly, though Akame was wary of the blonde. She sheathed Murasama and briefly bowed. Then I thank you for helping me. But this does not change the fact that we are enemies. As soon as the storm is gone, we will go our separate ways and then back to fighting. She was serious, though Akame could tell that Naruto was not a bad person at all. For everyone's happiness she would fight him as many times needed in order to change the country. This cave, is this an old shelter of yours? She looked around while Naruto started a fire for them and cooked the dead danger beasts. What's this? Akame thought as she found a worn-out journal. Food's ready. Naruto shouted, which made Akame's eyes sparkle, and she immediately ran towards the fire. Naruto turned to see their nervous lion-like friend and gave him a large piece of meat, which the creature happily ate. Looks like our friend here is a cannibal. He turned to see Akame already finish her meal and she eyes the rest of his. He sighed. Yup, she's related to Kurome all right. He gave her the rest of his and only had a small handful for himself. Naruto, tell me what led you to join the Empire? Akame said, suddenly asked him as she explained. You know about the corruption now, but there must be a reason why you joined the Empire. What did you do before this? Why fight for the Empire? Naruto just gave a small chuckle. What about you? You were once part of the Empire, weren't you? Why work for insurgents that simply want to take over from those already in power? Naruto's words lingered in Akame's head, making her question him. What are you talking about? We are taking out the corrupt and making sure that the right people are in power, so that no one suffers again. Akame argued her case. She truly believed that the Revolutionary Army could bring peace for the people. Really? Because there is no guarantee that the people you put into power are as pure as you claim. The fact is that the Revolutionary Army has recruited some questionable people into their fold. While the Empire is corrupt, the Revolutionary Army are not saints either. He was angry now. I heard you completed assassinations for the Empire. I will answer your question if you answer mine. The girl gave him a glare, but remained silent, agreeing to the condition. Why did you join the Revolutionary Army? This confused Akame because Naruto already asked this question. You already asked me this question and I told you why. She told him. Ask me another question. Naruto shook his head. You told me the facts, not the reason why you chose to join it. I want your honest answer. Why did you join? Naruto clarified to Akame as the cold killer, which she understood immediately. He's looking for a reason. Maybe I can convince him to join our side? Akame breathed in before placing her right hand on her chest. I followed my heart and did what I felt was right. This is simply the path I believe in. That's a decent answer, I can accept that. But just to let you know, I'd watch how your rebel army operates, because the Empire isn't the only thing that has rotten apples in it. He told her with intensity. Of course, Akame knew that a lot of the revolutionaries had their own agendas and were questionable, but she believed that at its core, the Revolutionary Army were filled with people who wanted to make a change for the better. I'm just saying that you should be careful and do your research. You probably killed some revolutionaries before your defection. There might be some genuine good people in your side of things, but the same is said within the empire. You should do some reckon and make sure the people you work for are actually the good guys is what I'm saying. Naruto gave a smile before yawning. Got a question for me then? I do. You know that I was an assassin for the empire, but what were you before this? Akame was intrigued. For some reason, it was as if he was a comrade instead of an enemy. A hunter, or more accurately, a mercenary who hunted down people. Naruto didn't know why, but he felt that he could tell Akame the truth. Maybe because she is also a cold-blooded killer and enemy, I can be honest with her because it wouldn't matter if I was or wasn't. So, you killed people for money? Akame knew the answer would be obvious, but unlike assassins, mercenaries didn't necessarily kill, they were merely hired guns that did various jobs. A few times, though, I avoided killing innocent people if that's what you're worried about. Naruto looked at the fire. But that doesn't mean I'm innocent of all the blood I spilled. After a while, Naruto changed topics. I wonder who used to stay here, couldn't possibly be a danger beast. What do you think? He asked Akame, whom was also a little curious. I do not know, but I found this journal lying around. She revealed the same book from before. Perhaps it can shed some light. She opened the book and began reading until her eyes widened in shock. This journal belonged to one of the Empire's former generals. Now Naruto paid attention in detail and was now next to Akame. Both began to read the journal. For anyone reading this journal, my name is Minato Namikaze. If you are an outsider, then I must warn you, the Empire's state has gotten worse. A man named Honest has began to spread his influence, and right now my efforts to stop him are futile. The Emperor has no idea what is going on within the capital, and I have almost been stripped of my rank as a general. However, as one of the Empire's greatest minds as well as their strongest warrior, I was too important to them, for now. This journal, it was written over 20 years ago. Minato Namikaze, he met my boss back when she was a little girl and was the Empire's strongest at the time. Akame told Naruto as they both carried on reading. I received the most wondrous news, my wife is pregnant. Mai is Kushina Uzumaki, a fearsome woman who is loyal to the Empire and a fellow general. My research is coming along nicely, but innocent people are still suffering because of one man's corruption. My squadron and I had entered a temple to find treasures for His Majesty. There were several traps and surprisingly we got through them without much trouble. I had found a powerful artifact, the Red Stone of Asia. I told His Majesty that I wished to see if the legends were true and conducted my experiments. It worked. Using the power of the stone alongside my Tegu, Shambhala, I was able to travel to another world, similar to our own. What? Both Akame and Naruto were shocked to read this. They read further after a brief discussion about the fact of there being another world. I had my hopes up. It seems two things that are exactly the same from both worlds cannot coexist and merge before exploding. This anomaly applies to living creatures too. The experiment is a failure. I told the Emperor that it was a dead end. He ordered me to carry on with my other experiment, a serum that would give our soldiers superhuman abilities. My own students have also become corrupted. Obito, I had no choice but to take his life after what he did to Rin. He raped her. He raped the person he loved and didn't regret it at all. Rin had killed herself afterwards. The fact that Obito was one of the most determined individuals and he became a monster because of some fat bastard. Kakashi was still loyal to me and became my spy on the inside. My research, I had to halt it for the corruption became too much in my eyes. I told Kushina that the empire has become corrupt and told her that I could not serve such an empire anymore. However, she told me that the empire needed me. Her loyalty is to be admired, but I feel that it is misplaced. I chose to remain and bring the empire back to its former glory. I had to, so that my son's future would remain bright. Kakashi was a part of the empire. That explains his Tegu. Naruto and Akame carried on reading. I decided that I had enough and conferred with some of my fellow generals and peers. They all agreed with me that the empire was becoming too corrupt. Kushina was silent, but I trusted her. Honest made sure that the emperor was not made aware of the people's suffering. If the emperor could not see that his people were suffering because of one man's influence and his own ignorance, then I would have to force him to see. I do not know how, but I did know one thing. Honest must die, but right now I must bide my time. His Majesty was convinced that I had gone mad, thanks to Honest I believe. But His Majesty had pity and allowed me to retire peacefully, but my experiments and research would belong to the Empire. I knew what I had to do and destroy them, even if it meant becoming a traitor. I had told Kushina this, knowing she would not betray me. I had completed my task, but I lost my whole world. Kushina had betrayed me, she chose the Empire over me and my love for her made hesitant to fight her. I was captured, tortured before Kushina arrived and told me that I would be publicly executed by her hand. She had told me that our son would be the first to become part of a program where his emotions would be stripped and the first test subject of a new drug. I pleaded with her not to, but she told me that the Empire must survive and that our son would serve a noble purpose. I did not break and thanks to Kakashi, I escaped. I had lost almost everything, but I would be damned if my son suffered. I had no choice, I must save him. Never underestimate the love a parent has for their child. Naruto said solemnly, with Akame turning away from Naruto. Naruto noticed this and sounded worried. Are you okay? It's nothing. Carry on reading. Akame became her stoic self again, though Naruto was able to see great sadness in her for a moment. That's right. Kurome, she mentioned being sold to the Empire by their parents. Naruto's right hand gripped into a fist. What kind of people do that? He then calmed himself and continued reading. I did something that will forever haunt me, I killed Kushina. I beat her to death with my bare hands after surprising her and binding her in chains. I didn't stop there, I took her Tigu, Yatsufusa and stabbed her with it. Yatsufusa, as in the same Yatsufusa Kurome uses? Naruto said aloud, his eyes wide open after reading this part. Akame was also in the same boat. I find myself hiding in a cave, I barely escaped with my life. My body is battered, but there is a silver lining, Kakashi escaped with my son. I instructed him to place him in a village outside the Empire. The village where I was born, Konoha. What? Naruto stood up, shocked to hear this. Akame was surprised, asking him what was wrong. Konoha, that's where I was raised. Now Akame was shocked, though her face didn't how it. Let's read on. Could he possibly be the son of Minato Namikaze? Akame turned his attention back to the journal. Naruto was having the same thought. See, could I be this man's son? When I was a kid, I always wondered if I had parents or not, this might have the answers. Naruto was scared of gaining hope and if it was crushed again like in the past. I find myself losing my sanity every day. My mind couldn't take it anymore, I want to kill all those who wronged me. I want to destroy the Empire, I want to kill everyone. This may be my final entry, if by some miracle that someone finds this journal. Please tell my son that no matter what happens to me, no matter what he becomes, I will always love him. Naruto, my son, if you ever find this, know that I will always be proud of you. Destiny is not set in stone, forge your own path, live well, eat well and remain strong. I love you my son. Akame noticed the page getting wet and saw that Naruto was crying. He is just like me, a kindred spirit. Akame, despite being a cold-blooded killer, was a kind-hearted person and did what she felt she had to do in this situation, she hugged the blonde. Naruto was surprised by this but eased into the hug, crying into Akame's arms and allowed himself to be taken into her warmth, falling asleep. Akame placed Naruto gently onto the ground and went back to the journal to see that the rest of the journal had the word, kill, written in repeatedly. He lost his mind. Akame looked down sadly. This empire needs to change. But is the revolutionary any better? Even I must admit, some of the methods and the fact that we allied ourselves with questionable people is beginning to irk me. She had one last thought. I wonder what happened to Minato Namikaze. With the Jaegers, Naruto is missing? And he took on night raid by himself? Death questioned the returning wave, whom wanted to look for Naruto straight away, but with the storm, it would difficult. He is more trouble than he is worth, but I have an obligation to protect my subordinates. We will leave tomorrow as soon as this storm clears. Wave, you are free from blame, but are you sure you want to come along? You can rest while we search. Can't do that, if it was the other way around, he'd do the same. Except when he pushed me in the room when we thought Bowles was a member of the torture squad. He said the last part in a low tone, still annoyed by that. This made everyone laugh, apart from Bowles. What made you think that I was in the torture squad? He asked, making the others stop laughing. Just kidding. He made them all laugh again. That Naruto is rubbing off on me. I think he's been rubbing off on all of us. Even Captain Death. Wave exclaimed as they all had a good time before. He is truly a one-of-kind subordinate. The whole team knows that he wouldn't die easily. The blood of Minato Namikaze runs in his veins. No, he's much more than that. He might be the one to surpass me. Death thought calmly until a soldier burst in. General Death. He saluted. The Prime Minister requires your presence immediately. It is urgent. What does that minister want now? The next day, with Akame and Naruto. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and yawned. Morning already? And from the sound of it, the storm stopped. Naruto tried to get up but felt a weight on top of him. He looked down and blushed. Akame was laying her head on his chest. A cute girl is sleeping on top of me. Been a while since that happened. She began to stir and slowly woke up, raising her head from Naruto's body and yawned. What's for break, fast? Akame realized their positions and did something unexpected. Kaya. She stood up quickly and blushed a little. Why did I do that? My cheeks are burning and my stomach feels weird. Why am I feeling this way? Damn, I made her blush. Sorry. I don't know what happened, was his dumb answer to what occurred. Thankfully, Akame nodded in acceptance. I'll find us breakfast and then we can go our separate ways. Unless, she paused for a while. You want to join the Revolutionary Army? Sadly, for her, Naruto shook his head. I still can't trust them. I can't trust you fully as you can't trust me. Akame solemnly nodded, because no matter what happened the night before, they were enemies. But know this, he said with determination in his eyes. I will change this empire that places little value on life and create a new tomorrow, for the people who live, for those to come. Or at least die trying. I promise you this, Akame of Night Raid. No, just Akame, the person who fights for the sake of others' happiness. Akame did something that made Naruto blush. She gave him a smile. She looks beautiful when she smiles. Then it's time to say farewell. She turned around to leap out of the cave but not before one last word. Goodbye, Naruto. She moved in great speed, leaving the blonde to himself. I wish we weren't enemies. What would you do, Gyo? Naruto thought to himself before turning to see the sleeping creature he left alive. I forgot about him. Revolutionary headquarters. We cannot allow the Empire to gain more ground. I received word that we lost 1,000 soldiers over to the east. According to out reports, there were no bodies found. One of the leaders of the Revolutionary Army spoke, an old man with bandages. Relax, Danzo. We'll plan a counterattack and when this war is over, you'll become emperor. Blood Knight came out from the shadows and laughed. Okay, now I have to head back to the capital and get me some sweet delicious ramen. Here's good buddy. Naruto told the danger beast and got off its back. He rubbed the creature's head. Time to say goodbye. The danger beast left, but not before licking Naruto like a dog. See ya around, boy. Naruto waved goodbye and turned around to head back to the capital. Naruto yawned to himself. I woke up too early. They're probably still asleep. With the Jaegers, it's time to find Naruto. Death commanded and it seemed Naruto rubbed off on them as they gave their own poses. They got on their horses and headed towards the gates, only to stop and look in shock. Hey guys. Naruto arrived and waved at them. That was quick. Wave commented off-handedly as Naruto had some explaining to do. Probably shouldn't mention that I spent the night with Kurome's sister. Yeah, it sounds much better in my head than out loud. Naruto was greeted by his fellow Jaegers. Night Raid. Akame, you're back. Leone hugged the raven-haired girl until Akame spoke. Najenda. The serious tone that Akame spoke in and the fact that she called her boss Najenda instead of her usual title, made everyone alert. I've discovered something, about the former general, Minato Namikaze. Now Najenda's soul eye widened until it narrowed. Lubbock was also shocked, but the others had no idea who Akame was referring to. Excuse me? They turned their attention to Tatsumi. Who's this Minato person? You said something about him being a former general. Tatsumi was answered by Lubbock. Minato Namikaze used to be the strongest man in the empire and saved Miss Najenda's life when she was a child. He was the reason why she became a soldier in the first place and eventually a general. Lubbock had nothing but respect for the man when he heard about him from Najenda. He sounds amazing. Wait, does that mean he? Tatsumi was referring to the possibility if the former general was dead. Yes, that is what we believe, but there was never any body found, according to my seniors. Akame, what did you find out? The spotlight was on Akame once more and she spoke with complete seriousness. Naruto of the Jaegers is in fact Minato Namikaze's son. She let the fact sink in, but instead of shocking Najenda, she simply sighed. I had a feeling that was the case. He looks like his father and he has all of his qualities after all. Najenda lit her cigarette and asked the dark-haired girl how she found out. Akame replied that she took shelter in a cave but left out the part about spending the night with Naruto. I see, do you have that journal with you now? Najenda asked Akame after releasing smoke from her mouth. Akame presented the journal to her leader, with Najenda taking it from the black-haired girl. All of you get some rest. We'll take a day off today and carry on with our work for tomorrow. She told them after getting up and heading towards her room. Hey Akame, do you want to go hunting with me? Leonie knew Akame couldn't pass up the chance to find creatures to hunt, mainly because if she would gain delicious food out of the deal. The two left to hunt for food, but Akame has something at the back of her mind. Why didn't I tell boss about Naruto? Is it because I feel like I can trust him? She pondered these thoughts for a while. Najenda noticed something different about Akame. She's hiding something. She has the look I had when I first met Minato Namikaze. Looks like Naruto has the same effect. Like father like son I suppose. Najenda was awaiting orders from her superiors. Najenda opened the journal and read through the contents. By the end she was in tears. I promise that the people who did this to you will pay, I swear it. With Danzo, we are slowly gaining ground against the enemy, however, it is not enough. Danzo told the bloodthirsty men in front of him. These men were either loyal to him or were the ones who committed acts much like the corrupted soldiers of the empire. There is a village which trades and produces weaponry for the empire, a town famous for inhabiting blacksmiths. Kill them all and their local law enforcement. What about the civilians, master? Sai stood in front of the others, with his fist on his chest. Give them a choice to join us, if they refuse kill them. Stretched his hand and ordered them. Now go and conquer my men. The men cheered, with some already mentioning what they would do to the women in the village, proving that they were no better than the empire they were opposing. With S-Death's group, please be boss. I'm sorry for my actions and I deeply regret them. Naruto was tied to a chair and given his punishment. He was forced to eat the food cooked by Seryu. Last time I tried Seryu's cooking, I was stuck in the toilet for 3 hours straight. Just thinking about it. AGHH. Naruto let his guard down as a spoon filled with Seryu's terrible soup and began to make retching noises after swallowing it. Naruto managed to reach his pouch and used his steel ball to cut through his bindings and then ran out to find the toilet. That was cruel, Captain. I know he can be annoying, but that was too much. Run commented as he stared at the space Naruto previously occupied. S-Death simply smiled at this and laughed a little. I had to discipline him, can't always let him get away with everything. Plus, I doubt my normal torture methods would break him anyways. This made everyone take a step back from her. What? That bastard is here. Where? He was indeed mad. If he wasn't in his current condition, he would have already left to kill Naruto. He's not here, but if you follow my plans, you'll get your chance at him. Now your choice, will you take the serum or not? Blood Knight offered it to him, which made the choice obvious for him. Do it, he hissed out. Blood Knight chuckled and inserted the syringe into him. The man screamed as Blood Knight's laughter echoed through the dirty halls of his secret base. A few days later, with Akame. I remember coming to this village when I was a part of the Elite Seven. It's allied with the Empire, but unlike most villages, it is one of the least corrupt places to be around because of the blacksmiths providing weapons for them. I wonder if Ichiraku ramen is still around? Akame was a little excited at the prospect of having some delicious ramen. Akame wore a cloak to conceal herself from prying eyes and was sent to kill a visiting official according to the tip one of their spies provided them. No sooner that she could see the village, she saw smoke. What happened here? Akame ran into her horror, found corpses, ranging from the elderly to even children. The women, they've been aped. Akame saw several naked women, dead and bloodied. Who did this? The Empire rely on this village to provide weapons for their soldiers, so it would hurt their military might. Akame then heard footsteps. What do we have here? A traveler maybe? Several male figures arrived, knew that if we stayed around for a while that someone would show up. Akame turned around, only for eyes to widen. They wore the uniform of the Revolutionary Army. You're from the Revolutionary Army. Akame's cold tone gave them chills. though it also gave away her gender, making the group lick their lips. Yeah, and if you know what's good for you, you won't put up a fight. Otherwise, you'll end up like these stupid villagers. Now, swear allegiance to the Revolutionary Army. The leader was smug, and his words made Akame matter. I don't know about Danzo, but I'm already part of the Revolutionary Army. Akame pulled off her hood to reveal her face to them. They all immediately recognized her and began to sweat. Miss A. Akame. The leader took a step back, with the others mimicking his actions. We didn't K no I at W was Y yo. Akame had already rushed forward and cut his head off, then followed up by cutting the other men, sparing only one man. Wait. P please. The last man spoke in desperation. Normally Akame would just finish him off, but she needed answers. Who sent you? Akame was calm and that scared the man, whom just pissed himself from Akame's gaze alone. Oh, one of the higher-ups. His name is Danzo. He lets us do what we please to the people who don't submit to him. He was in the process of making another mess in his pants, but this time it was the other type. He gave up the information so easily. I know his type. He'd sell out his own comrades if it meant keeping his life. How long has this been going on for? I don't know. Akame's glare made him confess something else. But I do know that we aren't the only ones. Some of the other higher-ups factions, they also do these sorts of things to our enemies. I only joined in because I didn't want to be left oh. Akame stepped on his left hand. One more question? Do you know where the rest of your group is heading? Akame demanded from him. He had no choice but to answer. The quivering man told her about Sai's group heading towards the town that was the headquarters of the Path of Peace, the peaceful organization that Akame knew was already infiltrated thanks to Najenda informing her. He told her they would be making their way towards it in a day or two. Akame cut off the last man's head without remorse after she gained her answers. What Naruto said, was he actually right? Am I simply working with a group that wants to replace the current rule and rule the empire themselves? Akame's goal was to give the people happiness, but it seemed all that she accomplished would be for nothing if the leaders of the Revolutionary Army themselves were power-mad. If almost everyone in the Revolutionary Army is no better than those who I betrayed, then what was all this for? Sure, I was able to free people from tyrants, but did we actually replace them with good people? Akame decided to head back to Night Raid, not knowing that Blood Knight watched her from afar with binoculars. All according to plan, he placed down his binoculars and stretched. Time for me to meet with the old mummy, then that fat minister. Then, I have plans for you, my chosen. He disappeared as Akame sped towards her comrades. With Naruto, the Jaegers split into two pairs, Naruto and Bowls, Kurome and Wave, Run and Seryu. Seryu and Run were now protecting a man named Bollock, who was a high-ranking member of the religion known as the Path of Peace. Bollock was a perverted individual who spied for Honest and had tricked, as well as drugged many people. Bollock mainly targeted girls so that he could enjoy the pleasures of the flesh. We have to protect such a person. Seryu commented as she saw how perverted Bollock was and even tried to hit on her, though she refused. Run had noticed Bollock's drugging. He convinced Seryu to cook Bollock dinner and basically prevented him from enjoying his vices, as the priest was becoming very intimate with the lavatory now. Afterwards, they became acquainted with the 4 Rakshasa demons, Honest's elite bodyguards. The Prime Minister must value his control over this organization. As soon as my current mission is finished, I will plan a strike to avoid suspicion. Run had devious thoughts in his head, but he only gave his usual smile. With Wave and Kurome, you actually expect me to believe that you were able to hold your own against 2 members of Night Raid and you knocked one out? I don't buy it, Kurome told him with smirk, which irked Wave to no end. Ask Naruto then, though he didn't see me fight, he knows I held my own. Wave argued, but it just made Kurome's smile wider. Wipe that smirk off your face. Wave then sighed. I tell ya Caesar, I get no respect. He whispered to his faithful horse. They would eventually make to their destination, only to find that Night Raid had struck already, making them head back to the capital in failure. With Naruto, how many freaking danger beasts are there near this town? Naruto took down a large group of danger beasts. Their mission was to take care of the new species and bring one back for experimentation. With Bowls, Naruto should be taking care of the danger beast, and according to our spies, some suspicious activities were occurring here. Bowls looked around the desolate town. Bowles then spotted an abandoned teddy bear near the rubble. This brought back memories for the man. Flashback. Play Akame ga Kill Lost Fallen Heroes first half. Why you see can't be serious, sir. Bowles looked at his superior officer. The man possessed a grim look on his face. I'm afraid so. I received the orders this morning. We are to burn the village down to prevent the disease from spreading. I'm sorry, but orders are orders, you understand, don't you, Bowles? Bowles reluctantly nodded. The incineration squad made their way towards the village and confronted the sick people. Burn them all, Bowles' superior ordered as everyone started incinerating the villager, ignoring their pleas. Bowles had no choice but to follow orders. Cough cough. Bowles heard coughing from the side and spotted a little girl, who was holding a teddy bear. She was joined by others, who were suffering from a similar affliction. I don't want to do this. When he looked away, the group of people coughed again, but this time with blood coming out of their mouths. They're suffering, even if I don't want to, I have to. Bowles had tears coming out and said one thing before burning them all into ashes. I'm sorry. Their screams would forever be in his nightmares, as well as the image of their demise. All that was left was the teddy the girl held, before it was scorched to ashes as well. End flashback. Bowles then heard a noise and was on alert. He turned around, ready to attack with his tegu, only to find a little girl. She was bruised and dirtied. A survivor. She then looked to see Bowles and did the one thing almost everyone does when meeting Bowles for the first time, she screamed in terror. Ah, a ghost. She fell over bottom and was crying, a little too comically. Bowles calmly walked towards her, which only made her fear grow. It is all right, young one, I will not hurt you. Bowles continued with his approach, his gentle voice making the girl realize that he might be a bad person like she thought. Where are your parents, young one? They were eaten by those monsters. She stuttered due to her crying. Bowles was on one knee and placed his hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry for your loss. I can't bring your parents back, but I can take you with me for now and help you. Do you have any other relatives? Bowles asked her with his gentle tone, only to be met with a shake of her head. Then my offer still stands, would you like to come with me? The girl looked at him and wiped her tears, slowly nodding her head, giving him smile, which made Bowles happier. Play Akame ga Kill Lost. I've got to go home. But mister, why didn't you help the people you burned? Bowles immediately lost the smile beneath his mask as the girl stabbed the back of his neck with a needle. The girl changed back to Chelsea. You're surprisingly good-natured for someone recruited to hunt down Night Raid. That girl was one of many whose village you burned down under the orders of the Empire. I know because I was there when you burned down her village. To you, she was probably another face. You're wrong. I can remember her, but I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. I always knew that I would meet justice. All the people I killed, this is penance for them. Bowles began to have flashes of his life, from the good to the bad. He remembered every nightmare he had of him burning down people. He remembered crying to his wife at night. Bowles recalled how he had dinner with the Jaegers without his mask, thanks to S death. He remembered the words of encouragement Naruto and Wave gave him. Bowles began crawling, reaching out to something. Even if I knew this would happen someday, I want to see everyone again. The wound Chelsea gave him was slowly eating him away, alongside the poison. Bowles. A voice came as Chelsea hid behind the door of an abandoned saloon. End. Naruto arrived just to see Bowles barely clinging to life. Naruto ran and turned him over. His wound. Naruto had to act fast, but Bowles spoke before he could even attempt something. Naruto. Night Rai. Naruto silenced him. I don't give a shit about that right now. Your life is more important right now. Naruto took out his steel ball, but Bowles knew that Naruto was too late. Play Fairy Tale Ost Mezumeru Tamashi. Naruto, why you're only prolonging it. Bowles took out a switch. This is my last mission. Naruto was panicking at Bowles' words and already used his steel ball on the back of Bowles' neck. Using the energy from spin, the technique Naruto uses for his steel balls, he prevented the poison from spreading and was able to heal part of the wound. It's no good. Even if I close the wound, which is a miracle that he was able to survive it this long without me, the poison has spread too far. If I had a proper operating table, I could save him. Damn. Naruto's face began to stream with tears. N Naruto. P promise M me that Y you'll protect E everyone. P protect M my F family. P protect ORF friends and B bring P peace T to T the E empire. Bulls gasped out. P promise M me. The clouds became gray and it looked ready to rain. P promise. It's a promise of a lifetime. Naruto was openly sobbing. Bulls brought his face closer to Naruto's ear and whispered something, causing his eyes to widen. Bulls' head was back down. YUK no. IW wanted to eat dinner W with E everyone A again. Give AM message to E everyone F for me. Bulls had specific messages for everyone. T tell them T that W we will always BBT the Jaegers A and T thank YUF for being M my F friends. Naruto's steel ball stopped spinning as Bulls succumbed to the poison in his wound. B Bulls? Naruto knew that Bulls had died. The first raindrop fell, alongside Naruto's tears. It began to rain heavily now as Naruto screamed to the heavens, followed by thunder. End. It's tough fighting from the shadows. At least I got a Tegu out of it. Chelsea whispered inside the building. With Naruto, he continued sobbing and then looked at the switch Bulls dropped. Bulls told me that was the self-destruct switch when I was checking out his Tegu. His Tegu? It isn't here, does that mean those bastards have it? Naruto still had tears in his eyes, but now they turned into cold fury. Naruto grabbed the switch and pressed. What the? Chelsea did not see it coming. Bull's Tegu exploded and blasted her with explosive flames. Aghhhh. She screamed as her flesh melted and she became nothing but scattered pieces, alongside the saloon and her Gaia Foundation. All Naruto could do was stare impassively at the explosion and clutch Bull's body. He decided to head back with his faithful horse alongside Bull's body. Even if he wouldn't admit it, Bulls was a good man. The world lost a good man today. Night Raid, you took away a husband and a father, but most of all, a friend. Next time I won't hold back, not even against you Akame. I see. I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. You're taking this harder than when Stylish died, though you were closer to Bulls and his family. I understand if you don't want to tell them the news. S death showed sympathy but was answered by the shaking of Naruto's head. No, it has to be me. I may have avenged his death, but that won't bring him back and I heard his last words, it's better if I do it, boss. Naruto told her, though he wasn't feeling himself. Don't push yourself. I understand how you feel, but I must also congratulate you for taking out his killer. We'll take a few days off and give Bulls a burial. S death recalled when Stylish died they could only have a small funeral since his body was never recovered. His eyes have changed, this time they have a cold fury in them. Good, from what I've already seen from him, whenever he puts his mind to something, he's almost unstoppable. Naruto bowed for once and left to inform Bull's family whilst S-Death sent out messages for the other Jaegers. Akame, I hope you make your decision soon, because if you choose to stay with Night Raid, then you'll just be another enemy I'll take down. With Run, you're good but you still have a lot to learn. Bullrick laughed as he defeated Run in Shogi. However, Run let him win and convinced the corrupt priest to send the Raksasha demons out at the town. Right now, he was plotting to kill him as soon as Seryu left the area. Hey, Seryu, the former teacher called his teammate. I think it's best if you go around the town and see if you can spot anything strange going on. Those elite bodyguards of the Prime Minister could use your sense of justice. Seryu immediately agreed and left with Koro. Are you sure that was wise? Bullrick became nervous. Run smiled and reassured him. The corrupt priest Ha called another hidden bodyguard, one whom possessed a strange scythe. Run's poker face hid his internal smile. The smile of a mastermind. With Danzo, soon we'll take over that town and make it a stronghold for my kingdom. Danzo muttered to himself in arrogance, however, it was short-lived as someone spooked him from behind. Boo! Blood Knight arrived and made the old man jump out of his throne. Too easy. You've lost your edge, Danzo. Blood Knight chuckled at Danzo's anger. You'll be happy to know that my spy has the serum. This shocked Danzo until he had a smirk on his face. Excellent, the serum that the Prime Minister had his top alchemist work on. The one that will grant me my youth. Once you hand it over, the new empire will rule all. Danzo was satisfied, believing that his goal was coming to fruition. Believe what you want to believe, but regardless of which side wins the battle, I will win this war. Speaking of which, that town should be invaded by Danzo's goons any moment now. However, they don't know that Night Raid or two of the Jaegers are already there. Both sides will suffer losses, the question is who will suffer the most. Either way, in the end, only one side gains something. Blood Knight had malicious intentions and played the waiting game. Night Raid base. What did you say? Najenda slammed her hand on the table, her one eye widened. Akame stood in front of her leader and had informed her of what she found out. You're too late, Lubbock, Leone, Tatsumi and mine are already there as we speak. I knew we had more than questionable people in the army, but I didn't think it was this bad. Susano stood to the side with his arms folded. Najenda, who is Danzo? Akame dropped her usual name, showing that she was not in the mood for games. Najenda sighed and joined her hands at hearing Akame's question. She brought out a portrait of the old man, conveniently having it on her person. Danzo is currently one of the higher-ups of the Revolutionary Army. He is a man who wants control, it doesn't matter how he does it, he just wants to rule. While he isn't as bad as the Prime Minister, he is willing to go to extremes to get what he wants. His men show him complete loyalty. I had my own doubts about him but I didn't think he would do something like this. This did not make Akame any less tense. I understand we need every advantage, but I can't fight with people who are no better than those I kill. Akame unsheathed Murasama and stared at her katana with intensity. When you told me that we were fighting to eliminate the corruption, I chose to abandon the empire, my comrades, my sister. Najenda didn't flinch at her outburst but did look down. Was it all a lie? No. Najenda's regained her composure and in her lone eye, showed her own determination. I am the same as you Akame. True, some of our recruits may be no better than those whom we fight, but the Revolutionary Army fights for the people. Akame believed her boss, but she knew Najenda's answer. This is the mission of your comrades. And we must consider the conditions. 2 Jaegers whom Esdeath herself recruited, one being modified by stylish with weapons and that out of all Danzo's personal goons, only Sai is a Tigu user from what I discovered. Innocent people could lose their lives. Is that what you call protecting the people, Najenda? Akame was losing her trust in the former general. Even Najenda couldn't believe in her own words right now. It was more like she was trying to convince herself more than Akame. No, it's not, she admitted to Akame. But you must have faith in your comrades and believe that they can protect the people. You mean like how we were too late to save Tatsumi's friends because we were careless? Najenda flinched at this, because Leone admitted that if she hadn't given in to her vices, they might have had a chance to save Tatsumi's friends, Seo and Ieyasu. There's no changing the past now. Why are you acting like this now Akame? You never questioned my orders before, so why now? Najenda had asked Akame, though she had a feeling she knew. That person must be responsible for the change. I haven't seen this much fire within her since she joined us. But why did she have become insubordinate now of all times? Because it made me realize something. Something important. Akame tightened her knuckles and was frustrated. Najenda stared at the assassin and waited for answer. Akame began to walk away but stopped by the door to say one last thing. I'm still the same killer I've always been, the only difference is I just changed sides. I'm starting to regret it now, at least I would be with my sister if I stayed with the Empire. Akame left a conflicted Najenda. Why do I have such troublesome subordinates? I can't blame her, I knew we had some bad people, but this might be deeper than I originally thought. Najenda looked at Susano and stood up. Guess I have no choice, Susano, stop her, we'll go together. With Kurome and Wave, I feel like crap, we failed before you even got a chance. Wave looked downcast, Kurome mirroring his action for their failure. Come on Kurome, cheer up. Wave saw her downcast look and tried to lighten the mood. I mean one failure isn't the end of the world, right? It didn't work as Kurome just ignored him. How am I supposed to, wait? A messenger bird. Wave and Kurome stopped for a moment to see a messenger bird meant for them, bearing the official seal of the Empire. The bird stopped in front of them. Wave retrieved the message from the bird and opened it to read the contents. Wave's eyes widened after reading the contents of the message. Well, what is Kurome didn't get to finish as Wave possessed a look of rage and ignored her as he dashed on his horse towards the capital. Hey, don't ignore me. She followed him. What's going on with him? Kurome saw something that confused her. Wave's eyes were releasing unshed tears. He's crying? With Sai's group. Now let us begin our assault. Sai's artificial arm released a blade through its knuckles. This blade is Sai's Tegu, rebuilt by Blood Knight and now a part of his body. However, Sai did not notice his arm getting covered by black marks shaped like flames. Master Blood Knight told me that using my Tegu abilities would lead to merging with it and possibly becoming a danger beast myself. I can feel the effects already. Sai created several lions to attack the town, causing panic for the townsfolk. This attracted the attention of the 4 Rakshasa demons, some soldiers and even the Night Raiders. Guys, these are Sai's creations. Lubbock told his group as they prepared for battle. I thought his Tegu was broken. Lubbock and the others moved, with Lubbock prioritizing the safety of the people. Isn't Sai supposed to be on our side? Tatsumi equipped in Curcio and began cutting down those creatures, alongside Sai's men. He then moved out the way from a strike. Suzuka had a bloodthirsty grin. Night Raid, let me free your soul. Suzuka was then attacked by Sai's goons, but allowed them to hit her and commented on how little pleasure she felt from their hits. She killed them, manipulating her body itself. Akame told me about her, one of the Prime Minister's bodyguards. They are trained users of the Imperial Fist and had their bodies go through extensive training. They might have been modified. Tatsumi saw his comrades face the other Rakshasa demons. Now, where were we? Oh yes, I will free your soul. Suzuka began attacking Tatsumi once more. Tatsumi used Incurgio's defensive capabilities to help him out with his fight against the demented woman. You're good. Mez was able to hold her own against Leonie, using her sweat to slip through Leonie's attacks. Leonie was fast enough to dodge Mez's attacks and both proved to be an equal match until Mez was hit from behind by Mine's pumpkin blast, instantly killed as the blast pierced through her skull. Got you. Mine gave away her position and was now targeted by Sten, who made his way towards her. However, Sai was already in the same location after spotting Mine earlier. He used this chance to stab the man through the abdomen, though to his surprise, Sten was alive. Ha 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 ha, my body is strong. Sten had blood running down his mouth, then suddenly he had black spikes come out of his face, tearing his face from the inside out and killing him. He was now on the lower building and smiled creepily at Mine, whom was a good distance from him, in perfect sniping position. His smile is creepy. Mine used her pumpkin's telescope to observe Sai and immediately regretted it. These guys are on our side, aren't they? Mine was not sure as the carnage they created had killed innocent people, but right now, they had to deal with the Imperial Army members. Suddenly, a cannon blast took out soldiers from both sides. You evil doers shall face justice. Seryu arrived with Koro, whom changed to his giant form. Seryu, I'll kill you. Mine was ready to take vengeance for Shield. Suddenly, Suzuka was flying towards Seryu, hitting the unsuspecting girl head-on. Tatsumi. Mine saw that Tatsumi was panting but gave her thumbs up. In Curcio, when I draw out more power from it instead of my own, it feels like I'm losing myself. Big Bro told me that he trained his body so that he could use Incurgio's power properly. Tatsumi could feel his strength fading after knocking out Suzuka with his last blow. With Run, they didn't expect me to kill them. Run used his winged Tegu to pierce the skulls of Bulric and his hidden bodyguard, a man who wielded a scythed Tegu. He had already removed those feathers and even set fire to the bodies in their secure location. The soldiers reported that this town has been invaded. Night Raid operate in a small group. They would try to do their work in the shadows, so it must be another group or faction. Civilians could get hurt. I can't let that happen. Run left immediately. Back with the battle. Got you. Tatsumi used Leonie's distraction to cut Abara in half. Meanwhile, Sai was able to distract Koro using his Tegu's ink abilities to create small spider-like creatures. My men have all been killed. Lord Danzo should have recruited Tegu users. Being his only Tegu user is a huge disadvantage for us. Why did the other two have to die? Oh yeah, because they were weak. Roar. Suddenly, several danger beasts arrived from out of nowhere. The combatants had stopped fighting each other and focused on the creatures instead. Where are these danger beasts coming from? Lubbock had managed to get the civilians to the other side of town and away from the danger. Doesn't matter, I had to help out. Lubbock set traps for the danger beasts using his threaded Tegu. Outskirts of the town. Ha 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 ha. I didn't expect night raiders here, but it worked out. Sayuro laughed as he was the one whom transported captive danger beasts outside the town's entrance. I planned this for a while. Killing those two Jaegers would make that blondie angry, making him easier to manipulate. Sayura stood a good distance away on top of a hill. His laughter and presence were seen from above, as a flying manta ray was in the sky. Akame leapt into action, caught Sayura off guard, giving Akame time to cut off his head. Before his head was cut off, he thought of one last thing. I was going to surpass you, Pops. This man is the Prime Minister's son, what is he doing here? Akame then looked on from her vantage point to see dust and smoke coming from the town. Boss, the town's being attacked, there are danger beasts. Go on without me. Najenda nodded at Akame from atop the flying creature. She and Susanoo headed towards the town as Akame picked up Shambhala. I deal with this later, first I had to help my friends. Akame ran towards the town. Back to town. Oh please, give me more pain. Suzuka was on cloud 9 as she felt immense pleasure in being hit by Leonie. This girl is giving me the creeps. People are usually scared when I beat them up. There's no way she's like this from training alone, her body must have been modified. Leonie was then slammed by Suzuka, however, she grabbed Suzuka's left arm and slammed her back, breaking the last Raksasha demon's arm in the process. Ooh, so good. Suzuka's masochist tendencies still disturbed Leonie, though they would no longer be a problem as Najenda's manta ray appeared from the skies and Susanoo dropped down, cutting down two danger beasts. What? You're distracted. Leonie grabbed Suzuka's other arm and threw her away from herself. Suzuka rebounded, sliding on her on the ground and landing on her feet. Was that supposed to accomplish anything? Suzuka used this chance to straighten her broken arm. She saw Leonie smirk at her, confusing her greatly. Leonie used her paw to point behind her. Suzuka turned around to see Akame briefly, whom swing her blade at her, cutting her throat. I didn't even get a chance to be punished by Lady Es death. Suzuka died. Damn it. Seiryu had a few bruises and some minor wounds. Koro also sustained too much damage and was on its last legs. I have to use the bomb inside my body at this rate, but as long as I can carry out justice, it will be worth it. You're open. Tatsumi used this chance to strike, only for Sharp Feathers to stop his sneak attack. Tatsumi spun his spear to deflect more of them. Run! Tatsumi shouted at the winged figure above them. Run maneuvered in the air to avoid the manta ray's attempt to tackle him. Your creature isn't a combat type, so it lacks the flexibility of Mastema. Run then stared down at Susanoo, making short work of the rest of the danger beast. Seiryu. His voice reached the woman, but this caused the distraction mine needed as the sniper pierced through Seiryu's left shoulder, her arm now removed from the socket. Ag. Seiryu hissed in pain as her artificial arms were located from her elbows, her arm socket was flesh and bone. Koro. She looked at her Tegu. The dog-like Tegu was in his berserker state but began overheating. Koro attempted to make its way towards its master, only for Susanoo to use this chance to attack Koro with his weapon, destroying its core. Koro. Seiryu lost hope as her right leg was shot off next, eliciting another scream. More shots were fired, however, instead of going for the kill, mine shot less lethal shots. Seiryu let out more screams. What is mine doing? Akame was using the tall building to gain a vantage point over Run but decided to head towards mine instead. She usually finishes it in one shot, why is she, mine? From the building over, Akame saw the look mine possessed, a look she was all too familiar with. She's enjoying her pain, that's right, suffer for what you did to Shiel. Mine smiled in glee, but this smile, Akame saw this smile many times before. It was a smile of a bloodthirsty maniac. Akame knew that Mine never really got over Shiel's death and wanted to avenge her friend dearly. Mine, you're falling into darkness. If you kill her like this, you'll be no better than those we kill. Akame made her way towards Mine, whose arm was jabbed by one of Run's feathers. Akame avoided one herself. Seiryu, I'll be right over. Run gained the attention of his comrade, only for Seiryu to have her other arm cut off by Sai, causing her to scream. Seiryu. Run called out to her, he barely dodged Mine's shot. If I hadn't injured her arm, she would have hit me. Don't come any closer. I activated it. Run, just get out of here. She told him, with Run pondering her words. He then had a small flashback. You placed a bomb inside yourself. Why would you do that? Wave asked as the Jaegers, minus S Death asked the Justice Crazy Girl. Because all that matters is taking out evil doers. If I can take out Night Raid with it, then it's fine. Sarius replied in her usual bubbly tone. Seryu, you fool, you'll destroy part of the town. Run's words had halted their enemy's movements for a moment, distracting Sai enough that Seryu used the gun stored in her mouth. Sai was quick to react and managed to just get shot through the left side of his neck. Damn, Sai hissed in pain and then his eyes widened after hearing ticking. You implanted a bomb into yourself. He took another step back. Seryu, this is why this damn empire needs to change. Run didn't want to leave her on her own or allow her to destroy part of the town with innocent civilians in it. I can fly her out, but I doubt I can fly and escape the explosion. He had images of the children playing on the streets, the smiling faces of the innocents in the town. I'm sorry, Naruto. It looks like you'll have to do this alone. Run dived down and tried to sweep Seryu away. Najenda thought he was trying to save Seryu and forced the manta ray to tackle the winged Tigu user. You fool. Run was knocked back a great distance to the outskirts of the town. With Najenda standing on top of her manta, she made the creature land at a secure location where it could take off easily. Everyone, on the manta ray now. Najenda barked out her order. The others knew that she left no room for argument and one by one got on the flying creature, moving quickly. Cowards, Seryu shouted at them, only for the Night Raiders to ignore her and Sai having already made his escape. Night Raid had already taken off. So, they ran off. I didn't even get to kill one of those Night Raiders. She soon heard small noises and turned to see Koro in his small form, barely able to move. You're on your last legs too. This isn't fair. I wanted to carry on and bring justice to evildoers. I am sorry, C-Cap. The bomb went off as over half the town was covered by an energy dome. That explosion destroyed over half the town. Innocent people were down there. Lubbock had helped civilians evacuate earlier, but there's still people around the other side of town. Night Raid did not expect the explosion to be that massive. Damn, Najenda gripped her robotic arm in anger. I didn't think that bomb was that powerful. That damn doctor, that explosive inside her body was this powerful. I miscalculated. Najenda saw the glare Akame gave her. This isn't helping the current situation with Akame either. And we failed to assassinate Bulrig too, though there is a possibility that he was caught by the explosion as well. Night Raid left in silence, though the tense atmosphere would remain for a while. Below the passing by group was Run, hiding from them, covered in bruises and panting for breath. I had to get back to the capital and inform the others. Run activated Mastema to return to town, or rather what was left of it so that he could take a horse back and conserve his energy. With Sai, damn, I failed my mission and now we lost our men. Lord Danzo will not be happy about this. Sai ran, though he was also nursing his wound from earlier. Suddenly, his leg was hit, he stumbled and rolled afterwards. Aghhh. Sai's left leg was missing a large chunk. That looks like it hurts. A lot. Deidara came out of the shadows. You're Deidara, the mad bomber. Sai's words made Deidara smirk. So, you've heard of me. Deidara sounded smug and flexed his hands. I did kill a lot of people by using explosives. Though, those explosives pale in comparison to these. He looked at his gloves. Their designs are a little annoying, but the power feels so good. He touched Sai's Tigu arm as he bent down. I see you have a Tigu, obsolete things they are. So, those gloves aren't Tigu? Sai was ready to strike as Deidara stood up and turned his back to him. They're better than Tigu. You could say they're the successor to the Tigu, we call them divine treasure. They're worth 10 of your pathetic Tigu. He knew Sai was ready to strike at him. Before Sai could say or do anything, Deidara stretched out his left arm towards him and soon, an air bubble came out. It slowly made its way towards Sai. Once it touched his left arm, it popped and pierced through his skin. Aghhh. Sai screamed in pain and made Deidara's smirk grow further. The left glove allows me to send air bubbles that burst into a powerful shockwave. My right glove. He snapped his fingers on his right glove to the other side to show that it created a small spark that led to an explosion. Causes explosions. But here's another trick I was taught by my master. Deidara released another bubble but followed up with his fingers snapping from his right hand. The small spark blasted the air bubble to some nearby trees before an explosion occurred again, but this time its potency increased and took out more trees. You combined both abilities. The air bubble increases the explosions once popped by providing extra oxygen, and it's wilder because of how the shockwave forms. Sai analyzed Deidara's simple abilities. Sai was ready to strike, but Deidara had one last thing to say, making the pale-skinned youth stay his blade. You figured it out easily, but my right glove has one more ability. In fact, it's my favorite. Before Sai could ask, he answered. Anything it touches becomes a bomb, and I touched your fake arm earlier. Sai's eyes widened, and he made his move, only for Deidara to press his right thumb down and cause an explosion, with Deidara jumping out of the way afterwards. The Jaegers all stood together. They were joined by Bull's family and the 3 girls Naruto saved. Other soldiers joined. They were once part of Bull's squad, and one of them was his former superior. They all wore black suits. They all saluted as Logue and Kijay were openly crying, alongside the trio of Fao, Luna and Air. Death spoke to Bull's family after the funeral and told them that she would make sure that they would be taken care of. He was supposed to survive. I wanted him to live and see the corruption of the Empire end. Next to Naruto was Run, who made it back 3 days ago and was informed of Bull's passing, having missed the message from a messenger hawk. Run had informed them about Suryu's death, dealing another blow to their team. Even Seryu, she could have been saved too. It wasn't your fault, despite what you believe. Even Mrs. Kijay and young Logue don't blame you. You did the best you could, and Bulls knew the dangers. We all do. Run gave grim face. And you could not save Seryu. I couldn't, she was too far gone. She may claim to fight for justice, but in the end, she only saw one side of the coin. Naruto stared Bull's grave, then Suryu's. I know, she told me about her father being killed in the line of duty. They used her fragile mind and warped it to their standards. We need to stop this before even more people end up like Seryu. Naruto then looked at the sky. Damn, it's a bad day for rain. Huh? What do you mean by that? It's not raining? Run questioned the blonde, only to see Naruto let some tears fall. Oh, you're right. Let's head home. Before they could leave, Wave confronted them. We need to talk. Wave told them in a serious tone. In 2 days, meet me at our base. Everyone will be out by then. With Revolutionary Army leaders, 2 days later. Explain yourself, Danzo. Why did your men attack that town? Najenda glared at Danzo, whom remained impassive, but on the inside, he was furious. I didn't expect them to fail and get wiped out. Now I must rebuild my forces and deal with this mess. He looked at the leaders of the Revolutionary Army. He thought that most of them were weak-willed to do what needed to be done. At least I have some support. I just need to convince the rest of these fools of the advantages. She is right. You better tell us why your men marched towards and caused the deaths of innocents. And don't think that we don't know about your men attacking small villages before they made their way there. A male figure spoke, also glaring at the old man. I simply asked my men to recruit them. They refused and attacked my people. Half the people in the room didn't believe him, but the other half were no better than those corrupt officials of the empire. They ranged from people seeking fame, pleasure, and most importantly power. Do you think we're stupid? I did my research and found some interesting things about you, about your past. Najenda smirked as Danzo showed no response. For example, you weren't born in the capital, you're from the village known as Konoha. This time Danzo had some sweat fall down the side of his head. Wait, how did you even come across that information? One of the people on Danzo's side demanded, rather rudely. Let's just say a little birdie told me. That person came to our hideout and told us about you. Najenda recalled what happened days ago. Flashback to a couple of days ago, the day after the incident with Seryu. We failed our mission. Worse, we allowed civilians to die. I underestimated our opponent and innocent people paid the price. Night Raid all looked down, except Susanoo, whom crossed his arms and had his eyes closed. However, despite what happened, we must continue to fight on. Any word on Chelsea? Tatsumi asked as he was worried for her, and it wasn't like her to be reckless. She went after Bulls and Naruto. Even if she's good at disguising herself, those two are no joke. The rest agreed with him, but Najenda dismissed them. The only 2 occupants remaining were Akame and Najenda. Najenda was about to ask why the seasoned assassin leave, only to see Akame pull out Shambhala and place on the table before taking her leave. This Tegu? It's Shambhala, but when? Najenda turned around as soon as she heard a voice. Guess that Sayura brat was nothing special. Blood Knight appeared from the shadows. Don't bother calling your comrades, I'm simply here to talk. Besides, you'll be dead before they arrive. He chuckled as Najenda tensed, before retaking her seat. Who are you? She asked instead of demanding, remaining composed, but still defensive of the man in front of her. You can consider me an ally, for now. His words didn't make Najenda any less tense. He had a file on him. He took a chair and sat down, sliding the file towards Najenda. He then relaxed and placed his feet on the table. Before Najenda could question him further, he spoke. That file contains all the names of the people who worked for Danzo and some bonus names of those who committed atrocities. Najenda's lone eye widened at this. How did you get this? Najenda was even more wary of him now. Why give me this file? She made him laugh. Because I work for Danzo, well at least he thinks I work for him. He stood back up. As for the reason, let's just say I want even the playing field for both sides. I'm simply an agent who wants to see which side prevails. What type of agent are you? Najenda trod carefully. Blood Knight got closer to her as he brought his covered face in front of hers. Chaos. The best kind there is. He straightened, chuckling once more. You see, all that it takes from an agent of chaos is little push and everything comes out in the open. A hidden secret? The true nature of a person? Chaos creates so many opportunities and exposes the truth. He began to talk more dramatically and walked around, not losing his focus on Najenda, whom began sweating. Hey, you may look at me like I'm insane, but the reality is that I'm right. You've seen the evidence several times, isn't that why you defected that empire? Enough. Najenda looked down in frustration. Just tell me what you want. She wouldn't admit it, but he made a point. Just wanted to give you the information in that file, which also has some dirt on Danzo just to let you know. He then looked at Shambhala in front of her. Though I do suppose, an equivalent exchange is order. How about you hand over that Tegu? What would you need a Tegu for? I thought you chose our side? Najenda grabbed the Tegu and was a little nervous. I can remain calm in front of even Esdeath, but this man, he's making nervous, and the worst thing about it is that I can't feel any bloodlust from him. I never said that I was on your side, I'm just starting to even the playing field. And for that Tegu, I suppose you could say that it would make a nice souvenir and a nice reminder of the man Minato Namikaze was. Blood Knight brought out his hand, so that Najenda can hand it over. There is a 50-50 chance that he can use it or not. But, can I trust this information he gave me? Najenda wasn't sure, however, Blood Knight anticipated this. The information I gave you is the real deal, I have no reason to deceive you. Otherwise, I would have already killed you. He had her there, making the woman sigh and hand over the Tegu. Blood Knight walked away, giving his usual gesture. Pleasure doing business with you. Ciao. He disappeared into the shadows. If this information is legit, then I have a chance to make things right. Najenda regained the fire in her eye and made her plans. End flashback. Damn you. Danzo grit his teeth and stood up. It's a good thing I have some men watching this meeting. They'll strike and make sure that there are no witnesses. Danzo possessed a smirk afterwards, only for Najenda to return it. Sorry to disappoint you, Danzo, but my team has already taken care of your little hit squad. Now Danzo lost his smirk at Najenda's words. The corrupt officials of the Revolutionary Army also stood up, but they were killed as Tatsumi burst through the walls. Danzo saw this and began to run with the remaining people on his side. However, Akame arrived and slashed all of them, though Danzo grabbed a female official and pushed her in front of him and narrowly avoided the hit. Suddenly, Danzo was grabbed by Najenda's robotic arm and was met with a swift uppercut to the face, courtesy of the former general. Akame allowed you to live for now. We need some answers from you, so count yourself lucky. Najenda ordered her people to imprison him. General Najenda, please explain what is going on. One of the noble higher-ups asked in confusion. He trusted Najenda as he worked with her back in the Empire, but he required answers right now. First let's clean up this mess and I'll tell you everything. Najenda sighed and knew she had some explaining to do. I could use some booze after this. She turned to her team. Please make sure that he doesn't escape. The remaining Night Raiders obeyed and helped escort Danzo to a cell. With Naruto, run and wave. So that's it. You wanted to fix this place, so that no one has to suffer again. Wave held his tea with both hands and was in deep thought. Naruto and Run told him everything, even their pasts. We understand if you think what we're doing is wrong, Wave, but you must understand, the Empire must be corrected. Otherwise this cycle continues and more people will suffer. Run told him, with Naruto agreeing. You got it wrong there. He surprised them. I want to help you. I joined to protect this country and the people in it. His few words were all it took, though Wave had more to say until Naruto laughed. You're a good guy, Wave. Never change. Naruto slapped his head, making Wave say ouch, a little too comedically. Welcome aboard, man of the sea. But I must warn you, we won't be committing the most noble of deeds. You don't need to kill if you don't want to, but are you fine with us killing officials using the shadows? Technically we're committing treason and so are you if you're supporting us. I'm fine with it. I'll support you guys and make sure you guys can take them out, since they are bad people. But what about Captain and Kurome? Should we tell them? Wave's question caused the two to look at each other for a moment until they turned their heads back towards him. While Boss is a great commander, she still shows loyalty to the Prime Minister. Kurome's been brainwashed, or rather the drugs in her system are basically making her obedient. If we can get her off them, it'll be easier to convince her. Naruto summarized. It certainly is worth a try. But wouldn't it be too late? And even if it's not, how would Kurome be cured? Run asked, however, as if by some bizarre coincidence, Kurome appeared behind them. Did one of you mention my name? The trio jumped, being spooked by the girl. Something wrong? No, no, no. They all shook their heads and laughed nervously. Kurome didn't buy it and put them on the spot with her glare. Think Naruto, think. Naruto then had an imaginary light bulb over his head. Wave just told us about how he wants to take you on a date. The reactions were unexpected. Huh. Kurome blushed and was shocked. Huh. Wave also did the same thing, except without the blush. Run also looked dumbfounded. As if I got out with a guy who smells like fish. Her blush disappeared, and she just appeared embarrassed at the thought of going on a date with Wave. He'll treat you nice, and unlike most scumbags, he'll pay for your food. This made Kurome agree with him, her eyes sparkling. Wave though, dragged Naruto to the side and they made body motions and hand signs. Screw that, you take her instead. Wave motions. Shut up and do as you're told. I'll give you a banana later. Naruto motions back. Ook, ook. Yay banana. I'm not a monkey, damn it. Wave at first made a peeling motion and then waved it off. I'll give you some seafood too. Naruto motioned and presented it as a final offer. Wave thought about it and then nodded and gave a thumbs up. You got it. Wave basically stated, come on Kurome, let me change my clothes and I'll take you on a date. Wave and Kurome left. You know, you scare me more than the commander sometimes, Naruto. Run commented with a nervous look on his face. Hey, I think they make a cute couple. Plus, I figured it'd be funny. Naruto said, with Run thinking about the last sentence. He couldn't disagree with what Naruto said, it would be funny to see. With Danzo in his cell. How did this all happen? I'm meant to be the future ruler of this land. Danzo was chained up, his body was too weak to fight against his restraints and the guards turning their back to the old man. Those fools, they didn't even think that I hid something within my body. Danzo opened the bandages to his supposed injured arm, only to reveal that there was a vial sewn inside his arm. Having a useful pawn in Blood Knight paid off. This serum is untested, but according to him, I would regain my youthful body and even a power-up. At least for a short time. Danzo had tore into his stitches, taking the sealed vial from his now useless arm. It's time to make my escape and then rebuild my forces. Danzo opened the vial, drinking the contents. I don't feel any diff. Danzo held his throat as the guards turned around to see what was wrong. Play Jojo. Diamond is unbreakable Ost killer. What's going on? Both guards lost their heads as blood gushed out from their headless bodies. Blood Knight had a blade in his hand. Yo, looks like you got yourself into quite a predicament. Blood Knight spoke in his usual jovial tone. He then took the keys from the headless corpse. Let's see, which key is it? Don't you just hate it when you can't find the right key? He tried a few keys. No, not this one either. Ah, there we go. By the time he opened it, Danzo's face changed color and he began to foam from the mouth. Don't worry, it'll be over soon. What my subordinate gave you wasn't a so-called power serum, but a lethal odorless poison. Danzo forcefully dragged himself and grabbed Blood Knight's ankle. Blood Knight chuckled and bent down, grabbing the old man's hair and pulling it. Danzo was forced to let go, losing his strength fast. What's this? You want me to help you out? No, 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 no. You made this mess and now you must lie in it. After all, Blood Knight removed his mask to show his face to Danzo, shocking the old man. You were one of the people responsible for creating me. Blood Knight's voice became cold and serious. He placed his mask back on and got up. I'd love to stay, but I've got my own errands to run. He took out Shambhala. This little trinket makes traveling easier. Anyways, it's been nice knowing you. Ciao. He did his usual salute and left. He can't BBH him. The poison took effect and he died. It would be at least an hour before the higher-ups came upon the murder scene. Ostend, back at the capital, with Wave and Jerome. This is delicious. More please. Jerome had already finished a full course and ordered another one. By the end of dinner, Jerome had emptied Wave's wallet. Damn you Naruto. Wave cried towards the sky as Jerome skipped happily. Wave couldn't help but smile. She's acting like a normal girl. At least something good came out of this. Suddenly, both Jaegers jumped out of the way from several knives appearing out of nowhere. What is that? Wave saw one of Shambhala's markers. Wave and Jerome felt a presence behind them and swung their weapons, only for Blood Knight to grab their wrists. Who are you? Wave didn't know whom Blood Knight was, but Jerome felt something at the back of her mind. He looks familiar, but I can't remember where from. Jerome then regained her focus as Blood Knight let go of their wrists. Even so, I feel like I can't hold back against him. I can't even sense his bloodlust. Who is he? Jerome made some hand gesture to Wave, whom saw the signals. It's a good thing Naruto told us how to communicate without words. A fake out, huh? Let's do this. Wave charged and swung his Tigu at Blood Knight, who jumped above Wave. Jerome used this chance to move with her superhuman speed. Blood Knight, though, was faster. He's fast. Jerome tried to cut him up, but he easily stepped aside from each slash and strike. Anytime now Wave. As if in cue, Wave had already activated Grand Chariot and used their momentum to seemingly land a strong hit after Jerome moved out of the way. Got you. Wave sounded so sure, but instead he received a rude awakening. He caught my punch. True enough, Blood Knight caught the fist with his bare hand. Your Grand Chariot lacks destructive power, even though it possesses great physical strength. However, unlike the current user of Incurcio who has the potential to bring out the Tigu's full power, your Grand Chariot is holding you back. Blood Knight pulled him closer and punched his stomach, forcing him flying back. The civilians had already evacuated the area. Wave. Jerome activated her Tigu's ability and summoned her corpse puppets. Blood Knight simply laughed at this. You're avoiding your big guns, huh? I see, you want to protect the people. He mocked her. A little late to gain a conscience now, little girl. Doya, a girl wearing a cowgirl-like attire, was first to attack, alongside Jerome's childhood friend, Natala. Blood Knight jumped over the two and was now behind Doya, grabbing her arms and pulling her body apart. Blood Knight then elbowed the gorilla danger beast in the gut, before throwing him at a tribesman and shield user corpse puppet. Blood Knight had then caught Natala's weapon and a whip from the other corpse. A former general, he isn't the only general part of your collection, am I right? Blood Knight pulled the general corpse closer and then kicked Nadal away, before taking Natala's weapon and slicing the general corpse in half. He's toying with them. Jerome had 2 more corpses in reserve, but she didn't want to use them. Desta Ghoul is too destructive and the other one has been modified that her destruction can cause an explosion enough to take out a large portion of the capital. Jerome didn't notice that her gorilla puppet and shield puppet had already been taken down, with Blood Knight now ripping apart the tribesmen. Don't give your enemy an opening, little Jerome. Jerome crossed her arms to minimize the damage. Blood Knight then gave Natala an uppercut, whom tried to attack him from behind. You're annoying. Blood Knight then cut up Natala with ease. Well, that was disappointing. Blood Knight then jumped out of the way from Wave's signature attack. The armor user had made a small crater. I missed. If he hits me like that again, my armor won't last. I can even feel some bruises. Wave stepped back, only for Blood Knight to disappear and then appear behind the youth. What? Blood Knight then slammed him into the ground, forcing Grand Chariot to deactivate and knocking out Wave. You've got guts, kid. I like that. Blood Knight then picked up Wave and slung him over his shoulder, as well as picking up Grand Chariot. He saw Jerome get up, slightly bruised and panting. I'll be taking him with me. Don't worry, he'll be back, only better. Kurome's pupils dilated and tried to rush at Blood Knight but hissed in pain as her leg was injured. No, not Wave 2. Kurome felt hopeless until something miraculous occurred. Blood Knight had something go through his body, to be precise, a steel ball. Play My Hero Academia Ost plus Ultra. Why you came? Kurome had some tears forming until she wiped them away and gave a smile. Blood Knight had dropped Wave and Grand Chariot before turning around. I've seen too many people I care about die lately, and I'll be damned if I lose another person. We see the legs of a familiar figure walked forward slowly, then we see the lower half of his masked face, forming a frown. Good grief, this pisses me off. Are you alright, Kurome? Run arrived with his Tegu activated. Kurome was happy to see Run but was even happier to see the person whom attacked Blood Knight. You don't have to worry anymore, Kurome. Why? Naruto moved his right arm, regaining his steel ball. Because I'm here. Second half of Ost starts. Naruto. Kurome shouted his name in joy. Whoever you are, you've done it now. Run stared at Naruto. Because right now, he's not smiling. That means, you're dead. So, you want to play with the big boys now? Bring it, were Blood Knight's thoughts. That Tegu, it's Shambhala. His eyes then widened at this and then ran towards Blood Knight, only to fall for his trap, forced to cross his arms as he was sent flying back and then rebounded. Ouch! Naruto shook his arms. He hits harder than boss. He then noticed the wound he gave him already stopped bleeding. I put a hole through him, can he regenerate? Naruto now had a steel ball in his right hand. Let's find out how much damage he can take. Naruto rushed Blood Knight in superhuman speed. Run, take Kurome out of here, I got this. Run knew Naruto was tough and nodded, flying Kurome out the area. Play Sonic Heroes Ost what I'm made of. He's fast. Blood Knight was quick enough to block and then use follow-up with a kick. However, Naruto was able to dodge and threw his steel ball, only to miss. I know this trick of yours. Blood Knight reacted as the steel ball Naruto threw had boomeranged back. Blood Knight jumped up to avoid it. Naruto then smirked and revealed his second steel ball in his right hand, jumping up, intending on piercing Blood Knight once more, except through the heart. Blood Knight took a gamble and swerved, allowing the blonde to hit his left arm, taking a large chunk of it. However, Blood Knight landed a right elbow, causing Naruto's nose to bend and forced the blonde back down. Naruto regained momentum and landed on his feet, looking down. Naruto used this chance to fix his nose. Give up, brat. It's futile. Blood Knight thought Naruto was distracted until Naruto looked back up with a smirk and this time pull out his pistol. He has a firearm. Blood Knight was shot dead on through the torso 6 times. Blood Knight, however, was not deterred and powered through, grabbing Naruto's head before he could escape and slam his face to the ground. You think some bullets can stop me? Ah. The bullets inside his wounds tore through him after spinning rapidly within his body and caused blood gush out more. Naruto swiftly got up and went behind him, performing a German suplex on him. Ost end. Steel balls aren't the only things I can manipulate. Naruto gave a small smirk, even though he was covered in Blood Knight's blood and retained some damage. Better find out who this guy is. Naruto was then kicked back by Blood Knight, rebounding afterwards. Is he actually an organic Tegu? No, he bleeds, can't be one then. Your attack hurt, but then again, I expect no less from you. Not as Minato Namikaze's son, but as a member of that organization of mercenaries. His words surprised Naruto, who was distracted enough for Blood Knight to close the gap and knee him in the stomach. Ah, Naruto spit out some saliva and dropped his steel ball. Damn, I let him surprise me. How does he know? Ah. Naruto was kicked on his torso, then again until he caught it once Blood Knight attempted a third time. Not this time. Naruto headbutted his leg instead cracked it. Now Blood Knight hissed back in pain. You bastard. I heard he was tough, but this getting ridiculous. Guess I'll have to stop playing with him. Blood Knight then realigned his leg and moved with greater speed than before. Naruto reacted, but was surprised as Blood Knight punched the ground and caused a large crater. Naruto knew that 1 or 2 more hits would leave him at Blood Knight's mercy. Naruto jumped out of the way and retrieved his steel ball, before taking out his other one. That punch just now, his strength increased. That means he was just toying with me earlier. Boss, or at least some reinforcements should have been here by now considering the commotion we've caused. Naruto did not expect an answer from Blood Knight. Your boss won't arrive if that's what you're thinking. The fiend spoke with complete certainty. Blood Knight then did something shocking, to grab Naruto, his arms stretched, like a snake trying to slither towards its prey. What? Naruto sidestepped just in time, barely dodging the attempted grab. Did he also say boss won't come? Why? The fact is we're making a huge disturbance, which they would usually send normal soldiers, but Run and Kurome were here too, so they should have informed Captain by now. Stop. In the name of the Imperial Army, we order you to surrender. Several soldiers appeared, as several witnesses whom ran away earlier informed the soldiers. You idiots. Get out of here. Naruto was too late as Blood Knight stretched both of his arms and grabbed all, squeezing them all until they burst into bloody puddles. I was too slow. Naruto also noticed that his other arm was healed. He did do something strange to his body. I can't rely only power alone. Yiro, your techniques will help me defeat this man. Played JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Ost Overdrive. Let's see how much you can take, big guy. Naruto went guns a-blazing with each steel ball spinning rapidly. Blood Knight whipped his arm at Naruto, but he was quick enough to slide underneath it and then slam the spinning steel ball in at the arm. Ah! The steel ball tore through Blood Knight's arm. Blood Knight now held his stump for an arm. It'll take a while for my arm to regenerate. This time Naruto didn't give Blood Knight a chance to think as the blonde closed the gap and was now behind the mastermind. He doesn't have those steel balls of high, ah! He screamed as the steel balls moved so fast that they appeared to have multiplied and pierced through his body many times, forcing blood to leak out of him like a fountain. Damn, he's good. When Naruto let up with his steel ball, he turned around and prepared to deliver a beatdown. He saw that Blood Knight's body was steaming. You may have some fancy regeneration, but in the end, it didn't help you out. You know why? When Blood Knight didn't answer, Naruto just continued speaking. Because you pissed me off. Naruto sent the first punch but was surprised when Blood Knight caught it. Huh? Ost End. Thought you could make a comeback? Just like a hero from comic book? Blood Knight's lesser wound healed in an alarming rate before they were good as new. I had to focus my energy on these wounds. I need to knock him out now and get what I came for. Blood Knight headbutted Naruto and made him flinch before forcing him above his head and then slam his fist into the blonde's stomach, knocking him out at last. Shit. Naruto lost consciousness as his pupils became completely white. Blood Knight walked over to Wave, but not before spitting out some blood. His mask was cracked with a small piece falling off. Damn, I used too much stamina on regenerating those smaller wounds. Those steel balls caused extra damage using that spinning technique of his. Guess I'll train and increase the dosage. Blood Knight picked up Wave's Tegu first and placed it on his person before picking up Wave himself and using Shambhala to teleport out of there. Sometime later, Wave, Naruto woke from his bed but winced in pain. What the? Naruto saw that he was bandaged up. He saw to the side, his steel balls on the drawer. Good to see you awake. You had us worried. Kurome sat by the side on a chair with happiness on her face. Run also stood and was relieved too. I'll let the commander know that you're awake. You sure recover fast, you were out for a day. Run left to inform death as Naruto looked at his hands in anger. I was out for a day? That means Wave was taken. Naruto grit his teeth and surprised Kurome with his anger. Damn, I was too weak to save him. Just like I couldn't save Bowls. Kurome did something unexpected, she placed her hands on his knuckles. Please don't blame yourself, Naruto, we can save him since we know he took him alive. Kurome showed determination that rivaled his own. Naruto stared at her and then had a small flashback in his mind. You can't save everyone, but you can save the people in front of you. If there is a chance to save innocent people or those you care about, take it. If you let regret take over, the only one who will suffer is you. The figure's face was shadowed, but he was wearing a cowboy-like attire. The spin has been passed down the Zeppeli family for a long time, and as the last member of my family, I passed my teachings on to you. Use them wisely. Big brother, are you alright? Kurome brought him out of his thoughts as the blonde just said he was fine, until he caught what Kurome called him. Did you call me big brother? His question made the girl turn her face and take her hands away from Naruto's. Is she blushing? She's embarrassed. Has hell frozen over? Sorry, it was a slip of the tongue. Damn it, I feel so safe around him, it's like how it was with Big Sis. She then flinched at the thought. I can't let it happen again, I'll just end up being betrayed again. She then felt something atop her head. She saw that it was Naruto placing his hand on her hair and ruffling it. Don't worry about it. In fact, I think it's cute, you can call me your big bro anytime. Naruto's infectious smile made her light up, though she had reservations and her happy face turned into a solemn expression. Hey, what's wrong? She was too upset to tell him. Come on, little sis, you can tell your big bro. He saw that his current approach didn't work and sighed. Fine, but you can still call me big bro anytime. Maybe I should call you little brother? A voice made the two turn to see Death back, amused by their conversation. The two were embarrassed by this as Naruto had to explain what happened. He told her what happened and left no detail out. He was able to regenerate from wounds and could stretch his arms. The manipulation of his body is even greater than the 4 Rakshasa demons. His appearance sounds familiar too. Death thought about why Blood Knight was familiar to her. Flashback, a few years ago. I wonder what the Prime Minister wants with this. Death brought a small treasure box and stood in front of said minister. The treasure you wanted was held in that village, but I don't see why you went for all that trouble for some red ruby. Death was blunt and revealed that she peeked into the box, much to Honest's annoyance. Just give me the box. When Death handed it over, Honest thanked her and told her that her reward shall be given to her on another date. She bowed and left, but she was curious to the red stone she handed to the minister and turned back, only to stop at the door when she heard another voice in the room. That stone was all you wanted? Seems like too much trouble for a little trinket, Blood Knight. Honest stated boringly, though he did possess a hint of curiosity. Death peeked through the door and saw what Blood Knight looked like. Just some sentimental value, nothing more. He then turned around slightly into Death's eyes. It seemed like he became a figure enveloped in shadow with 2 glowing red eyes. He spotted me. Death felt sweat falling down the side of her head. He's aiming his bloodlust towards me. I couldn't even feel any from him earlier. She then noticed Honest also sweating rapidly. He's not even trying. This demon is truly frightening. Sorry about that, but you should make sure that your subordinates learn not to eavesdrop on us. He stopped his killing intent and walked towards the shadows. Become stronger, Ice Princess. He mocked Death, whom cursed herself for feeling fear. End flashback. The Prime Minister knows the person who took Wave. Death said to her group suddenly, shocking all 3 of them. Perhaps he can give us answers. Death may have stated maybe, but she was confident Honest knew something. I may work for you, but the lives of my subordinates are not yours to toy with. That fat guy really wants to give me several excuses to kill him. Then I won't disappoint you, slimy bastard. Naruto's thoughts were interrupted by Death. Calm down, I know that you want answers, we'll get them in time. Naruto slowly nodded. He knew that if he rushed things, he would end up suffering. With Blood Knight, soon, you will become my greatest ally. Blood Knight had both arms. The arm that Naruto took regenerated completely. He stood in front of a large glass tube, which held wires attached to his body. Inside the machine attached above the tube is a red stone, the red stone of Asia. Next to the machine was Grand Chariot in its sword form, attached through several wires. Are you ready, King Crimson? Yes, my lord. King Crimson bowed. King Crimson wore metallic lightweight armor. His helmet was a knight's helmet and he had a katana strapped behind him. All in all, he looked like a shinobi knight hybrid, with his name King Crimson fitting as his attire was completely crimson. I shall take my leave, my lord. King Crimson left. I knew having you as my pawn would be helpful. Blood Knight had the image of the sick person that was attached to the machines, before he became an image of King Crimson. Soon, my goals will come to fruition. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.